Hopefully Wiz does turn up. It would be nice. In the grand scheme of nice things, it would be one of those things.
Wait, we can have those?
Nice things, sometimes, I mean... Let's see. Hopefully Wiz does turn up.
Poked him.
I'm getting feedback again. Always do that. It's like I'm a derp.
You're a derp.
I can be derpish. A little bit.
Here and there.
So anyway, how are you guys today?
Pretty good. Tacos got made. The weather's still not bad.
Cool. Yeah. Well, the weather's not so great up here. It's kind of like been on the edge of raining all day, and it's windy. It's just cold wind. Not very good.
Yeah, there is a bit of a biter going on there.
It's blue sky and sunshine here with a light breeze.
Wish it was sunshine and light breezes here, but hey, we can't have nice things as previously touched upon.
Well, like sunshine, rainbows, lollipop sand. Wait.
Lollipop sand.
I get that.
Definitely not lollipop sand.
Lollipop sand. That's the
worst.
best sand.
No, it's not. It's the worst lollipop. You know, you're thinking of...
you just lick the ground.
No. You're thinking of, like, sand, but it's not really sand. It's actually lollipop. So I'm thinking of an actual lollipop with regular sand in it. Like, perfused through its entirety. Yeah, exactly.
Gritty.
I'm the pessimist, clearly. Lollipop. It's a dwarf lollipop. No, it's sand, not fucking granite. It's not granite sand. Sand made from granite.
No. You know what sand is, right?
It's like one of those sherbet sticks.
Not normally granite, Ty. Not normally granite.
It's still rock.
Yes, it's still rock, but it's normally shit.
It's like a sherbet dip.
Sherbet dip.
Except that instead of, sherbet, it's sand.
I mean, this still doesn't sound especially appetizing, because I still have in my head this idea of actual sand made from fucking the shells of crustaceans and sandstone.
Well, yeah. I'm saying that's what dwarf lollipops would be like.
Oh my god. It's just made from fucking... I don't fucking know. I don't know. I don't care anymore. We're still waiting for a Foxxy, just get... Yeah, I mean... Ugh.
Funny thing is, it wasn't lollipop sand, but lollipops and. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Lollipops and I just didn't finish the sentence.
Yes.
Insert prequel reference here.
Come on, Foxy, get the fuck here. Yeah, you're here, but you're not fucking talking. Just, come on, man.
You busy eating or something?
No, I was
just being unsociable. We get it.
We understand you hate us, but that's fine.
Yeah. I'm going to give Wiz a little bit of time, because I hadn't heard one way or the other whether he's here, or whether he's going to be here, whether he exists, or whether he's dead. I mean, who can say? But, we shall see. We shall see. So, guys, unfortunately, got some bad news.
Yeah?
Yeah, bad news. Next Wednesday, not gonna happen. No game next Wednesday.
Oh no!
I know.
Have you been cursed by some sort of evil leprechaun?
No. I'm going to Confuzzled, so, I'm leaving that evening, so I do not have time to languish with you fuckers.
Maybe Quarter could step up and, do another Pokemon game.
Oh, Pokemon game. I mean...
That's a possibility. I don't know whether I'm going to be here next Wednesday, because it's festival season and occasionally I'm going to be going off and juggling at places.
But yeah, so unfortunately, for those in the stream, obviously, and for you guys, yeah, no game next Wednesday. Sad times. But apart from that, I mean, yeah. See.
Well, that just means we need to come to a satisfying conclusion in today's episode, so that all our plot threads are tidied up, and we're ready after the break to come back for a new series of adventures completely unrelated to the ones we're on right now.
I mean, that could be arranged.
Well, except for the mines, which we weren't going to go to anyway because there's nothing important to them.
They're just old collapsed mines. Why would you even be vaguely interested in that? I don't understand.
There was a cave-in. It was deemed dangerous. I don't know.
Yeah, hundreds of years ago. I mean, it's like there's no reason for you to go up there.
But anyways.
Okay, I think we've maybe given Wiz long enough, kind of. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know that one. Shut up, Alex.
Joking aside, there really genuinely isn't a whole lot of reason for us to go up there.
One of the members of the
Whatever's going on up there has been going on for a long time, so it can just stay there. It's clearly not causing any major issues.
Yeah, we're not gonna have any ramifications from ignoring a major plot point like that. Surely not.
One member of the group definitely has reasons to go up there, so...
Oh boy.
Sorry to drop that one on you guys.
Secrets.
One day they'll have secrets. One day they'll have dreams.
Damn it, did Paylor wiggle his eyebrows at that or something?
That's actually not far off the mark. Lols.
That's just the way he gesticulates, you know, it's like, oh, what do you want, Paylor? Just eyebrow wiggles. Ah, I understand completely.
More of a glint in the eye, perhaps, I don't know.
Secret of the mines is that it's causing all the dwarves in the region to get horrible brain cancers, even if they're like not right next to the mine. And Paylor is trying to make sure Adrik doesn't die of brain cancer.
Brain cancer would be bad.
Yeah.
Right, I think we may be absent a Wiz tonight.
Back to our Robo-Druid.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, Niacin was kind of like, I don't know, just run off into the woods and be a bear for a bit or something. I don't know. Okay, guys, let's start the session officially. So, last session, you guys got back to town, did some stuff. That stuff entailed mostly getting harassed by a little girl who then dragged you off on another little quest. Now, you got up to this cracked pot and plough tavern that's halfway between Shadford and the coast, and you met there Reynold Mallister, who was looking a little bit bedraggled, sleep deprived, unkempt, stressed, and after a bit of badgering, you guys managed to get the information out of him that he was he wanted you to go on a quest to try and find something to raise his kids. So yeah, anyway, you guys are going off to the tower. You found the tower in ruins, evidence of some recent activity there. And you found some active traps, although some of them were a bit frazzled, and some large areas were kind of like non-functioning completely. So you were able to sneak around those for the most part. One thing that was still around is there were some floating skulls who you immediately took a disliking to, which is fair enough. You know, undead skulls, kind of a bad thing. So yes. So
it's a shame that it shattered. They would have made very nice candle holders to go with the sofa.
That is true. That is true. But you know, once
there's a certain connotation associated with that core choice, though.
Yeah, you may get thought to be necromancers or something, or at least evil in some way. So yeah, maybe not the best of ideas. So you guys continued up. You found the dead remains of Verin himself in the tower. Clearly had been dead for centuries. Thankfully his magic items seemed to be reasonably intact, and you scooped them up along with a secret room that you managed to hack your way into.
Yoink.
Damn right. You also found right near the top of the tower some harmless little lizards that were trying to raise a family.
Harmless.
And you
little.
Butchered.
Harmless.
And you butchered
little.
them. You butchered them and kidnapped their child.
Giant
we
winged
did.
kobolds! Kill them!
No, Meepo! Oh, it's too soon. Anyway, so you murdered the wyverns, and you stole their egg that they had in their nest that they
We're
were
gonna hatch it and call it Meepo.
and then kill it. That would be like the biggest troll you could ever do. It's like, right, no, we need to find out how much meat to feed it and how well it's trained. We need to do lots of rolls, and then Melik does lots of work to try and figure out how to do all of these things, and then we're just going to kill it anyway. So all that work goes to waste.
Yep.
So,
you have to be more subtle than that. You don't deliberately kill it. You accidentally get it killed.
Oh, I see. Which is fair enough. So yeah, you guys got to the top of the tower, realised that was the whole tower. You haven't found anything that screams raised dead or resurrection or reincarnation or anything that's like what we will call a positive, a good way of raising the dead.
Well, we found a couple of scrolls that we have no idea what they are.
Indeed. So, but there's nothing that
and some sort of rock.
Nothing that screams raised dead.
Well, outside of the skulls, we didn't find that many things that scream, so thank goodness for that.
Well, I suppose that is true. Maybe they could have raised the dead, and now they can't because they're more dead than even before.
Whoops.
Well, yeah, I know. Who knows?
If they could have raised the dead, then our skeletal wizard friend probably would have been fine.
That is a very good point. You don't believe that they had raised the dead powers, but hey, who knows? One of them did radiant damage, so who knows? Who knows? So, you find... know. Well, yes, that is true. I do know. So, you guys have finished exploring the tower. You give it a little once-over just to see if there was anything you missed. Any little hidden things behind walls, etc. And there's nothing...
Yeah, I was going to suggest that might be worth Adrik doing a once-over of the tower with detect magic up, like what he should have done to begin with. Just in case there's anything hidden by magical means that might stand out.
You mean like traps, you mean?
No, not just traps, but,
I mean, it would have been useful.
Tower, there might be things that are not particularly obvious to the naked eye.
Yeah, you can give that a once-over. I assume that that's not going to be a problem, Adrik.
Yeah, if everybody requests, I'll do it.
You okay there, Foxxy?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, you give the tower a once-over, apart from the traps, which not all of them glow. It looks like that there is some warding that's still partially in place, but yeah, most of them do glow reasonably well to detect magic. Whatever kind of protected the tower originally that was brought down, or simple age has made the traps easier to detect with that. But yeah, apart from the traps, you find nothing. The door to the vault, that's magical. The door downstairs on the ground floor, that is magical. Basic.
Well, maybe we should take that door with us.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy, and it's quite nice. But yeah, you could actually manage to take the door with you. You chipped it out, and it fell out of its hinges. Didn't seem to get damaged by the fall either.
We'd have to find an arcane locksmith, though.
No, we would.
And those don't grow on trees. That seems like a lot of effort.
Probably not worth it.
Now, the one we have the key to, I'd be more inclined for. We could chisel that out and grab it.
Yeah, the what I would warn against that is that from the looks of it, you would say that the frame on that particular one looks a little bit more load-bearing. Because it's more central. The one that you chipped into was an isolated room, whereas the one down on the ground floor is very much central to the staircase itself, which is in of itself pretty much the primary load-bearing structure at the moment.
So, in other words, we chip most of it out, wait for it all to fall over, then go back and grab the door.
Pour through the rubble of the entire tower. Just dig out this door. I mean, you can if you want, have a go. You probably can do it, but yeah, don't roll a 1.
We do have an issue. We have 2 unconscious companions,
which are pretty easy to just wake up, I assume, by shoving berries in them. Which...
No, nobody has any berries left.
I've got berries left.
Oh, Niacin could just cast and summon more.
But he's unconscious.
I have 2 berries left that I'm going to pop into Niacin's mouth so that way he can make more berries.
Also,
I didn't have a chance to do it during the fight.
There's a big question. So, we're done in the tower. We've done it, given it a once-over. Do we have time left in the day to make it back to the inn before it's dark?
Yeah, just about.
Excellent.
It's going to be getting dark, even though it's summer, but yeah, you can definitely get back in time. If you have a look, because you're on the main screen at the moment, you can have a look at where your little flag is, and you could just get back.
Well, I'm hoping one of the magic items we have is somehow worth the trip. it'd suck if all of this was for, less than saving Reynold Malister's kids, I guess.
Well, I mean, he said that anything that's left that's not useful to him or after it's been used is yours. So for you guys, it may very well be a profitable trip. But yeah, agreed. For he himself, if none of these are of use, then yeah, it's not going to be so good for him. What do you guys want to do now? You're still at the tower, but you can probably make it back if you push yourself.
I think we should probably try and get back before dark.
Otherwise,
we're going to have to camp out, and that's just uncomfortable.
Yeah. What are all the schools for all of the items that we picked up?
I mean, I could spend the time and go through that, or I mean, it's up to you, really.
I'd do that when we get back to town, and we can go through all the magic items we have then, because we don't have them all with us.
Bear in mind, this guy's going to identify all the ones you found from the tower anyway.
And that.
That's very useful.
He did say that.
We could always say that the stuff that we found at the snakes was totally stuff that we found here. Get those identified on the cheap.
Everyone's nodding, thinking.
I think that's dishonest.
And?
But that we could perhaps just ask nicely.
Well, I mean, we could always garnish it by one of these could be in some way resurrecting oriented.
We also have this other stuff. We don't know what it is yet. Might have been of use.
No, we could take that approach, I suppose.
Right.
It just strikes me as easier than like, hey, yo, we've just got all this other stuff. Can you just identify that too?
While you got the dribbly candles out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I assume you guys, regardless of what you're deciding, you're going to be heading back.
Yes.
Yep.
Cool.
No. I assume I get woken up at some point and minimally healed.
If Niacin gets woken up, he's gonna just summon more berries and he's gonna shove them in people's mouths. So yeah, I mean
I've already shoved 2 berries into Niacin's mouth. I'm waiting for him to regain hit points.
Yeah, he will regain hit points. You're gonna get back. There's not gonna be an encounter on the way, guys. So I am just gonna say, right, you're gonna get back.
And it's dead.
Yeah, exactly. It's unlikely you're going to encounter anything significantly dangerous that's going to require us to hit point count at this rate. I'm not going to throw a T-Rex at you or a giant ape.
Adrik, it's a bear. Adrik walks up to it. It scratches. It misses. It bites. It misses. It scratches. It misses. It bites. It misses.
I'm sure it'd be long dead before it had all of those misses, to be fair. Right then, guys. I am going to make some very quick notes on some stuff because you're going to want this information. What the hell?
We're going to want to need this information, that's for sure.
You are definitely going to want to need this information. You mean you might not need it, but you're going to want to need it. So you head back. It's getting pretty dark as you get back, so it's late, but you manage to get back to the to get back to the tavern, the cracked pot and plow. You get in, you have a little look around. You don't see Reynold Malister. You don't see the guy that he was with, his wizard friend, for want of a better term, since you were never actually introduced.
Yes.
Officially name-wise, anyway. What do you guys want to do?
Well,
I've been beat up, so I'm going to let the rest of the party sort of, handle the final negotiations while I take it easy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Niacin's going to retire to a room as well. I assume you guys will be staying here the night, because you're certainly not going to get to Shadford in time.
Oh heavens, no! we ain't roughing it when we have the option of a tavern.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I do not blame you at all.
I think there are probably some inns that might be worth roughing it over, but I don't think this is one of them.
No,
Look, when we reach the shabby stable, reputedly the cheapest inn anywhere forever, literally a lean-to, then sure. But like, till we find that.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no reason why not to. There was nothing wrong with it when you were there before, so yeah. Let me
Cow's pat.
you just fucking cow shit in your bed.
That's what they leave instead of a mint.
Oh my God. It's brown, what more do you want? Chocolate mint. I actually fancy chocolate mint now, guys. Thanks for that.
After that mental image.
I don't know why. Is that wrong? Oh my God, Adrik straight to the bar.
Shum!
I'm assuming
Yep.
the cart's still in the stable.
The cart is still in the stables. There's some young Ike sort of sat on a stool nearby that you don't remember seeing before, and he just kind of watches you as you arrive and then just goes back to like whittling a piece of wood. Looks fairly young, maybe 10, 12, something like that.
He's a spy. Kill him.
I was actually thinking that.
Really? Oh. He doesn't seem to be hiding. He just literally sat there looking slightly bored, watching people coming and going. That's it. You don't remember seeing him
He could be the world's worst stable thief.
He could be. Or perhaps the best, because you haven't gone and stopped him.
True, true. I mean, hey, if he nicks the sofa, he doesn't know the vengeance upon which will be wreaked towards him.
No,
He'll be hunted down and exterminated.
I suspect that he'll regret that quite hard.
I can just imagine it. Someone steals the cart, and we go chasing after them. But they abandon the cart and take all the valuables, but leave the couch on it. And we're like, oh, it's the cart with the couch, cool. And we're like, oh right, back to town.
No, you still have to keep chasing because they still had the nerve to steal it.
Or even better, they actually steal the cart, right? And eventually you catch up with them, and the guy that's got the cart, and you finally kill all of his minions, and he's like there, cornered, like, no, okay, please, here's the cart, and it's like, and it's the cart.
Where's the sofa?
Yeah, the couch is not there.
What do you mean the couch? The cart's there, all the valuables are here, look. It's like, but where's the couch? I don't know. That's not the correct answer.
Threw it in the river, it was too heavy. Right.
We don't know, we burnt it for firewood. Adrik just fucking kicks the guy through like a fucking door.
No, I would respectfully tie him up and make him like an effigy.
Oh, okay, no, that's fair enough.
You used it for firewood? Here.
We use you for
fire.
No. They use your couch for firewood, so you use him as a couch, and you just tie him up and just sit on him all the time.
Whoa.
You're not soft and comfortable enough yet. Bam, 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 bam. Gonna tenderize him a little bit. So, guys, are you gonna do anything before you get a room? And also, what rooms are you gonna get? Because you didn't, pay ahead of time for rooms.
I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna ask for what room they have available. I'll share one with Orkon again, I guess, if that's how people want to roll this.
Because I think did you have having 2 rooms before, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, the boys went in one room, the girls went in the other.
Well, there is that. Okay. You'll forgive me. I've got a load of other things open, so what was it for the rooms, do you remember? If you say 1 copper per night, I will slap someone.
No, I think it was like 2 silver?
I recall it being something like that.
I think it was
think it was that expensive. I think it was 1 silver a night.
I think it was basically a kind of an average price for things. It's a very sort of media. They get a lot of business through. They don't expect many people to have much in the way of demands.
It was 2 copper a pint. And I think it was a silver for the room.
Right, I will load things up. Because I'm not actually very organised. I've got a lot of bloody things on at the moment, guys. I do apologise for
Alright, well, once you figure out how much it is, I'll edit the party loot.
Indeed. this loaded up. Yeah, I think it was... Yeah, it was definitely 2 copper a pint. I know that much. You are right that way. And I think it was something like 3 silver a night, because I remember knocking it slightly lower than the lamp and lodestone. Yeah,
Right, so...
let's go 2 silver a night per room, and 2 copper per drink, depending on whether or not you want drinks. And I will, this time, actually make a fucking note of it.
Sounds good.
So I pop a silver on the table because 5 drinks sounds fun to me.
Okay.
Yeah!
They happily serve you up some
Cleric.
drinks.
So it's 2 silver per room per night?
Correct.
All taken care of there?
I'm assuming Niacin's got his own room.
Niacin
In the
will,
woods.
will figure something out.
Well, that's what we said last time. Is Niacin went outside and slept in the cart with the horse. It's literally what we said last time.
You guys do know that means that he's probably been sleeping on the couch.
Oh my god. It was too soft
No.
for him. He doesn't like it.
Yeah, he said he would never sleep in the couch, so it's fine.
Probably sleeps under one of the wheels.
Probably. Like a tabby cat.
No, like the wheel's actually on him. He rolls the cart over him, so it's more comfortable for him.
Ah, that's his blanket. I see.
Yep.
Right then. Yeah, Adrik, you get 5 drinks. Are you drinking them all yourself, or are you sharing?
This is just for me. Are other people drinking too?
If you could get a pint for me, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
I'll take care of my own pint. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Daniel, you having a pint?
Yeah, Daniel will get his own. It's all good.
Alright, okay. Well, I will deduct 2 copper for Callie's.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, you don't see, Alistair, you don't see anyone that you recognise. I mean, anybody who was here the last time, even that crazy old woman that was briefly mentioned, she's not even here. So,
I'll
apart
ask
from...
at the bar if Mr. Malister is still here. Obviously, we were expecting him to still be here when we got back.
Oh, Reynold, yes. Well, we'll probably see him in the morning. He retired quite early this evening, actually. So we'll probably see him in the morning, get his breakfast. Do you want me to pass a note again?
Yes, please.
All right, then. Just for you. And she gives you a lewd wink, revealing that she doesn't have enough teeth. Yes, she does. She literally just winks, and she's missing a lot of teeth. She's a young lass, but you get the impression she's had a bit of a rough one. So yeah, she takes your orders, writes a little note, seems to be able to write, and she goes into the back room. You guess kitchen stroke other areas are, and yeah, you don't see her unless you end up banging on the counter for more beer.
I'll take my drink and go over and join the rest of the party.
Woo! We up for another game of cards to pass some time, or are we
Shit.
just heading straight to our rooms?
I'm pretty beat, but I'm willing to go for a round of cards.
Oh, you're too kind. Wonderful.
Yeah, because you did really well the last time. Yeah.
Gotta keep myself sharp, you know.
So you two playing? Anybody else joining in?
I still have 1 second level spell slot left.
Oh fuck!
Zone of truth.
Zone of truth. It's a second. Yeah, I'll play.
Fuck's sake!
And I will zone of truth.
Excellent. So yes, they'll be yeah. You can ask if people are cheating, and if they can't say no, then you know. Is anyone wanting to cheat when the zone of truth is now up?
Nope.
What
I'll
about?
avoid it this time.
Okay. Niacin is just not here, so he's just not gonna play because it'd be rude to gamble his money when he's not actually present. So is everybody here? What about you, Daniel? Are you gonna jump in this card
Daniel
game?
will just deal again.
Okay.
I'm gonna deal again. This is fair enough. Okay, out of the 3 people, again, it's Callie, Adrik, Orkon, the sequel. I would like everybody to give me an intelligence check.
How much money
How much are we betting?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. If you want to bet money.
15 silver, folks. That sound reasonable?
Okay.
I was thinking more 10 gold.
I'm up for 10 gold if other people are. I'll bet 10 gold.
5 gold.
5 gold?
Yes.
Done.
Okay. Nobody deduct it yet. What we'll do is it's just whoever wins adds 10 gold to their thing, and everyone else deducts. Just makes it a slight...
No, 5 gold.
5 gold. Yeah, but the person who wins get the other 2 people's 5 gold.
Anyway, yes.
That's how maths works.
Is it?
Okay. Flight intelligence. Obviously, if you've got proficiency with cards, add it. You've got deception and insight. Oh my god, is it? You do not know what anyone's tells are this game.
Oh, you got it this time.
So, Orkon, you got 11, and Deception, you got 23. So you're very good at deceiving, but you're spending... That's not bad. Oh, I think we may have a change in the winner this time. I think to be fair, at a glance, he's outwitted you all. He hasn't out-deceived Izzy, but he's inside. But you know, he's deceived Izzy. But he's not been able to see through the deception. But yeah, the game. I think Adrik has definitely won that one. The only person to have high double figures in everything. It's like a Callie game. In fact, yeah, because you had an 18, a 19, and a 19. So it's actually very close to your game, but it has a crit in there. So, damn. Yeah, okay. Everybody, deduct your 5 gold. But Adrik, you may add 10 gold instead.
Wait.
Groovy.
It is groovy. Fucking fumbled insight roll. Holy crap.
Yep.
Womp womp.
Like, obviously, they're all doing this strategy.
Not
involves
only
putting cards underneath their cups and hiding them there, right? It's gotta be it.
Not only fumbled, you got a 0.
It's because he's not very insightful.
Yes.
He's not a particularly wise. Wisdom is rogues are not known for their wisdom, in fairness.
You know, most of my quote wisdom comes from, this is how it's done, and I need to sort of follow procedure. And then beyond that, like, I don't know.
I'm pretty happy with that. Nat 20, a 17, and then an 11. I rolled really well.
Yeah.
Which, for 2 of those, I needed to roll really well.
Right, well, with that, time for bed, I think.
Yes.
Yep. Sleepy time.
Yeah, that's wise.
Indeed.
Can I go ahead and get my hit points back to max?
Well, yeah, you all successfully get a nice long rest. So, yeah, you are definitely, well, you're literally long rested. I will long rest Niacin as well while we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would probably be, you know, kind.
Mm-hmm.
Over there. No, don't do that. Stop it. Bad character sheet. Long rest.
Off to bed.
So you guys sleep. You, Adrik. Again, you have a restful sleep and you get your full long rest, but you do, again, from the last time you slept, you do hear just, there is a movement. Every now and again in the night, you just become aware that there's someone going up or down the corridor outside the rooms. They're not stomping or walking any particular speed, and neither slow nor fast, but again, you don't know whether it's the same person, but yeah, you do hear a couple of times in the night with your perception as such that it is movement, activity, whatever you want to call it, outside the rooms in the middle of the night. If you don't want to do anything about it, then we shall fast forward.
I'm curious to see who it is. Cedric is curious.
Okay. Roll me a D2. Eventually.
Well, it says rolling on my side, so.
Okay. Okay. You get up. You let yourself out of the room. You've got good eyes, being a dwarf and all that. As the last time before, just as the last time before, you don't see anyone immediately in the corridor. You're not sure which direction they were going. So whether they've gone away from the rooms down the corridor toward the stairs that lead downstairs, or whether they've gone into their room and, been very quiet with the door, you're not 100% sure.
I'm just going to stand at the door and wait.
Now, bear in mind, you're not 100% sure, but it's only a couple of times in the night, and it does feel like you have a reasonable amount of sleep, so you don't know if you're gonna. It's not you're not sure whether they're constantly active or it's incredibly infrequent. So, yeah, I mean, how long are you waiting for?
I wait at least 15 minutes.
15 minutes. You wait for 15 minutes. What, you just kind of waiting, just standing in the hallway?
No, just standing, leaning on the door, kind of like the door's open and I'm kind of like leaning on the frame of the door, just kind of looking up and down the hallway.
Okay. You keep an eye out, but unfortunately, you do not see or hear anything other than a soft rumbling coming from another room as someone's clearly gently vibrating the bed and some of the floorboards with their snoring.
Hmm.
But yeah, other
Sorry,
than that,
guys, I'm a snorer.
it's not from any of you guys.
Okay. I head back into the bed.
Okay.
Your bed now has bed bugs. It was all a trap.
It was all a trick to get you out of the room so that
there's
the
an
beds...
undead kobold waiting in your bed now.
You no hurt me, po.
Beats you.
Yeah.
Does a 23 hit your AC? Kind of a deal. Oh, you're not wearing your armor because you were sleeping. Oh dear, what a shame. Yes, it bludgeons you to death. Mostly.
Yeah, no, I still have enough hit points that it couldn't quite do that, and I would pick up a warhammer and
Wail into it.
I would wail into it, but also it would burn in the searing light of Palor, which would probably wake Daniel up.
I mean, it probably would. That is very true.
Daniel would just lean over, pick up his helmet, whack it, and turn back over.
The sleeping halberdier. Okay,
yeah.
So you guys go back to sleep. Everyone gets their long rest, because even a minor interruption like that doesn't remove a long rest, as we all well know. Hell, even having a fight in the middle of the night doesn't actually technically remove your long rest.
As long as it doesn't last more than an hour.
Yes, exactly. So you guys take your long rests, and you gradually wake up as light starts to stream through the shuttered windows. The windows are pretty much, well, they're not windows, but they're openings. I always don't like window because it immediately conjures an idea of glass. But either way, the shuttered windows, you hear a cockerel somewhere in the distance, doing its normal routine, bird songs, insects, people moving around, a cart on the road outside, the smell of cooking food, that sort of thing. It's a decent enough wake up. You smell a little bit of, ale that might be a bit stale as well. But generally speaking, it's a decent enough morning. What are you guys going to do?
Feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, I'm going to go downstairs and feel like the world's awesome. Because I'm not dead.
Tell the tale of the stale ale in the pail.
But I'll go down and get some breakfast.
It is the most important meal of the day. I'm already there, eating breakfast.
Yeah. I mean, it's very important, as all your characters seem to believe.
Hey, it's mainly this one.
Yeah, but you know, it's certainly.
Daniel will be down a few minutes later after he's finished fiddling, putting his armor on.
I'm actually gonna have a conversation with Daniel before I leave the room.
Go for it.
Yeah. So Daniel, how's the book coming along?
I haven't had a chance to read very much of it yet.
All right. I know you're not really willing to talk to me about it, but I thought since I was away doing my bits and bobs that I thought that might help you.
Well, I'll let you know once I've read more of it.
Very well. Thanks, by the way.
Hmm?
And Adrik just kind of turns and leaves.
Daniel's going to be slightly puzzled by that, but then follow.
And breakfast.
Breakfast.
Food.
It's, you know, fairly ordinary. Bit of dry bread and some nuts and bit of jerky, not much. It's not what you'd call a traditional breakfast in the sense of this is what you eat for breakfast, but it's clearly just stuff they've had left over that you can have because, you know, it's a cheap room that most people, they're not staying in for very long.
These were eating leftovers.
Okay. You don't see Reynold anywhere. You do see that other guy, the wizard.
Oh, let's go bother him.
Yeah, he's sitting on his own. Mm-hmm. He's looking through a book. Guy sees you approach. He's like, and he looks around to see who else is around. And he ushers you to sit down. See, you've gotten back from your trip. I do hope you've managed to find something. I do not want to speak of it too much without Reynold being here. He's rather sensitive, as you can imagine. But he should be down shortly.
Well, we definitely found things. Lots of separate things.
I can only hope that something's of use. Do not worry, neither myself nor Malister believe that it is your responsibility to find something useful. So even if there is nothing, I hope there is, but even if there is, I wouldn't worry yourselves too much about that side of things. I think Malister is desperate but fair, so don't let him hear me calling him that.
Well, we have a long list of things if you want to start getting ahead of the curve.
Well, yes, it will take me quite some time, of course. But we have all day, or at least myself have all day. Well, this seems private enough, I suppose. And he puts his book to one side, puts it in a little side satchel, and the table is clear. I would say that you're probably... let me see. You're probably, actually... He would have been in the very top right table. But the people that are there at the moment are just icons from the previous night, so they're not actually there.
So we're hanging out over here.
I will shift them.
Adrik will lean against the wall behind this chair.
And Niacin's, I don't know, sleeping in the trough outside.
Good.
Why the hell is the... Who's moving the... No. Bad.
The card is phasing through the wall, man.
I didn't know I could see it. It's just, what the fuck?
So, yeah, he's put his satchel away. You guys have got a fair bit of privacy, and certainly you're blocking the way.
Adrik will pull out the sack and everything on it.
Well, let's go through it slightly more methodically than that, perhaps.
Okay, guys.
What's the party line on, like, things that we didn't actually find in the tower? Are we telling him that we didn't find those in the tower?
After all the tower stuff.
Okay.
Tell me what the 2 scrolls are first.
He opens the scroll, one after the other. He spends like 10 seconds, maybe 5 seconds per scroll in one particular case. And he reveals that one of them is a detect magic scroll and one of them is an identify scroll.
No way. That's awesome.
Keep a hold of those, because Callie will probably want those in a level's time.
Oh my god, yes.
Holy shit, you're going to want those in a level's time.
Do you want them in your inventory?
Sure, if nobody objects.
Take them. I will edit party loot. So,
All
Callie
right, we can
has...
bring out the robe next.
So as I say, these scrolls are the sorts of things that you use them once it burns them, you know.
Yeah.
But you can, if you're a wizard, obviously learn from them and copy them into a spellbook. But obviously none.
If you're otherwise capable of casting ritual spells,
can you cast a ritual out of a scroll? I wasn't sure.
You can burn a scroll to put a ritual into a ritual book.
Oh, of course you can. Yes.
Yeah, which is why I was saying Callie's going to want
yes.
those.
Yeah. I didn't click
yes.
with that, but yes, definitely.
Yeah, scrolls can be burned like that, but they are used up when you pass them into a ritual book.
Works for me. That's fine.
But yes, so you have a scroll of detect magic and a scroll of identify.
What else are you putting on the table?
So we'll bring out the robe.
He looks at the robe and he smiles the moment he sees it, and he tells you that it is a robe of useful items, which actually kind of makes sense now that when it was described as a sort of patchwork with lots of funny shapes on it.
Yep.
And I will generate...
That seems useful.
Yeah, it is. In fact, all individual items are fairly useful in their ways. We will go through specifically what items are currently on the robe after we've done everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll bring out the stone next.
He kind of looks at you expectantly for a moment and says, "So you only have the one of these?"
Yep.
Well, and he passes it you back. It's like, you see the quite a classic design of a shouting face here. There should have been another one. These are what is often referred to as sending stones. And you can communicate once a day to the possessor of the other stone. So, are you sure you didn't lose one or miss one at the other end?
100% certain.
Maybe we could try using it.
Yeah, as I was saying,
if somebody else has the other one.
They might already have that, yeah.
He passes it back and shrugs. But yeah, it's one sending stone.
Okay, well that's kind of useful.
What was the language that the wizard spellbook was in?
Well, we'll bring that out next.
Yeah.
Okay. He takes the spellbook, flicks a few pages, sort of sneers a bit as he flicks through a few pages. He's obviously very learned about being able to recognize common things. Like, you notice he has yet to cast Identify. At the moment, he's literally been identifying things by sheer experience at this point. And he's doing something similar. He's reading a few pages of the book, and he kind of... It looks like he doesn't want to be reading this book, but he is reading every page. And it is just literally... For those of you who are proficient in Arcana, you recognize this as to be a standard wizard spellbook that has spells in it. You know, usual sort of thing.
Yep.
And it takes him a while to get through it all, but he looks like some pages he's dismissing pretty quick, others he's having to study a little bit. At one point he takes out a small little journal type book bound in leather, and he does a few cross-references a few things. It's a good 15-20 minutes or so that he slowly goes through this book. There are a lot of pages filled with things on here, and as I say, anyone proficient with Arcana would know that there's a lot of different spells in here. He eventually gets into a good swing of reading through it. He gets about halfway through the physical book, and then the pages are then blank. He has a quick flick through the remaining pages, but they're all blank. And he pushes the book back and says, "Yeah, it's a rather distasteful book. It appears that the possessor of this book was being a necromancer of sorts, though unfortunately there's nothing in there of a particular powerful nature, and certainly nothing of the ilk that Reynolds would be wanting to use. So, alas, unfortunately, another dead end. He briefly summarizes that it's got basically... I mean, he'll summarize it, and Callie will probably sort of be the one that he recognizes as perhaps understanding it the most. It is effectively a book with all 1, 2, and first, second, and third level necromancy spells in it.
Ah! That's less than completely useful. Are any of those rituals?
If any of the first to third level necromancy spells, including in Xanathar's, are rituals, then yes.
I think there's 1 or 2.
Are they rituals I would ever choose to cast?
Revivify?
Revivify is a necromancy spell. It's not a ritual.
That's not a ritual.
It is in there, unfortunately.
Oh, no,
it only works on something that's dead for a minute.
Does it have to...
So this is a good point. We'll bring out the...
It's probably off of the wizard spell list, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so
sorry,
Revivify
not Revivify, yes, sorry. Yeah, the wizard's necromancy spell list, yes.
We'll bring out the supposedly empty spellbook as well. And say, well, we found this as well. We think it's empty.
He flicks through pretty quickly and confirms that it's empty.
Okay. I sold that one, actually, did I not?
No, you found it in the tower, so you won't have sold it yet.
You've not had time to sell it.
I mean, unless you sold it to the sun. I mean, and it's like, Mighty Palor, take this book and give me loots. He beams down 50 gold pieces.
No, it's just blank spellbook. Yeah, it is on there. It's on the other page. Yeah, cool. There is blank.
So we bring out the longsword and the wand as being the last 2.
He goes to the wand first, if you're going to bring them out at the same time. And this requires him to actually ritually cast Identify. He takes out his little pearl that he requires as the component for that. And spends his 10 minutes casting that as a ritual. At the end of the day, he regardless of who fishes this out, it sounds like Daniel probably fished this out, he then hands it to Callie and says, I think perhaps you'd be the one that would be interested in this, assuming that you fellows will be using them. Well, you see, this wand is not a particularly powerful one, but it certainly will enable you to strike more unerringly and with your spells.
Oh, how so?
He describes a few of the features of the wand, and for those of you who are going to look things up, it is basically a Wand of the War Mage +1.
Nice.
Sweet. What's one of those when it's at home? For those of us who don't have Dungeon Master's guides.
Hold on.
If you have if you have if you basically use if you have it in your hand as a weapon or whatever you want to call it, and you're casting a spell that has an attack roll, you get a +1 on the attack roll. That's the first thing that it does. You also can ignore half cover when making spell attacks. So if the enemy is in half cover,
incredibly useful.
It's like, you can do a curveball type magic.
So you don't need to cast Magic Missile all the time.
Not that I think that you have Magic Missile. Or maybe you do, I don't know.
No, I don't. Yeah. I've got the better cantrip version of that exists.
Yes. Now you have a +1 to hit with the thing. If you are wielding
those
this
Eldritch
one.
blasts just got a lot more accurate.
Yes, they did. I'm excited about that.
Well, only +1, but +1 is not to be scoffed at.
Never scoff at a +1 bonus.
And the longsword?
He looks at the longsword, and again he has to resort to ritually casting Identify. He tends to pause before he casts the spells. He sort of studies the item, even if it's a relatively plain thing. For example, this sword is pretty damn plain. But he spends time studying it, slowly casts a spell, turning it over in his hand as you know. He's one of those people that's clearly got a good passion for his work. So, yeah. Eventually he finishes the casting. And he sneers a little bit at it, but he puts it back on the table and says that this rather distasteful item is what has been called in my circles as a sort of life-stealing.
Whoops.
Sword of Life.
You have 0 inspiration.
Longsword of Life Stealing.
He describes it thusly that
+1?
a particular nope, he doesn't. It's not a +1. It's just a sword of life stealing. There is no plus, but it is magical, obviously, so it would count as a magical against creatures that have resistance to stroke vulnerabilities. Blah 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 blah. Insert nonsense. But yeah, it is just your standard sword of life stealing. So mechanically, for those who don't know, if you roll a critical with the sword, the target takes 10 necrotic damage, as long as it's not, already dead or never alive, and you actually gain that many temp hit points.
Heck!
Only if you roll a crit, though.
Not that useful.
It's not powerful, but,
And I'm guessing you're taking the Wand of the War Mage, Callie.
If nobody objects. Not hearing a lot of objecting.
Nope.
No.
Is he...
I have no use for it.
That is unfortunately all the items that we found in the tower.
He nods. He doesn't... He's disappointed, the guy. He's definitely disappointed. But you kind of get the feeling that he's not especially surprised.
We do have other items we could possibly... I mean, if any of them are useful.
He looks over and says that you have received from elsewhere?
Yep. Yeah.
Are any of them, do you think, useful, perhaps?
We don't know, is the issue.
He smiles and nods, but he ushers you to sort of pass him the items. You get the impression that, yeah, he's not going to complain if one of these random items from somewhere else happens to be the one that's needed. So yeah.
Exactly.
Like he's gonna be like, well, it's not from the tower, so I'm not going to bother. Malister can go suck his own fucking riches or something. I don't know.
Shall we maybe start with the most likely one, which is the Pale Orb?
Oh yeah, you mean the one that's totally not a drift globe?
Look. I
don't know that in character, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Drift globes are pretty damn common. I mean, you haven't had a wizarding education, but you know of some things. Drift globes are pretty good guess. In my unbiased, uneducated opinion, that's a pretty good guess.
Well, we can just lay out all these things before him and see what he thinks.
He does take the pale orb, and he turns it over in his hand, and he speaks a few words, one at a time, and he finds the command word, which, does anyone know? Yeah, someone knows Draconic, do they? Anyone know Draconic?
Yes, one person does know Draconic.
Someone knows Draconic. You recognize this word, Daniel, and it is literally the Draconic word for illuminate. And when he speaks this word, it basically starts emitting light. At first it's quite dim. He speaks it again, and it's very bright. He speaks it again, and then it's like goes dark again. And then, yeah, he puts it down there. He'll happily repeat the word for those of you who don't know how to say illuminate in Draconic. But yes, it is...
How does one say illuminate in Draconic?
I don't know. Let me tell you it. Obviously, TeamSpeak will auto-translate, but I'll try and get it across. It's illuminate. Yeah, it's for TeamSpeak auto-translations translating it.
Damn.
It's clever.
It is.
So this item is most likely called a drift globe.
A drift globe is the official term for it.
Cool.
Oh, it's one of those.
He teaches you another command word, which is literally follow in Draconic. And yeah, it's basically he teaches you how to use the thing, and it can float and follow you around and emit light, and it can literally produce... Go on.
We have another arcane wand.
Do you now?
Yeah, we do.
Yes, you do. He takes the one that you found in the temple, and again he is forced to cast identify. You've still not seen Reynold Malister at all anywhere. I mean, he's cast identifies a ritual a couple of times. He's analysed a few things. He spent a quarter of an hour looking through the book. So we're easily cutting up to nearly an hour that you guys. Well, no, you've been up for about an hour, I would say, because you've had breakfast and chatted to this guy for a bit. Still no sign. People have come and going. People are departing either to head north or south, depending on the direction of their travel.
He didn't get assassinated in his room or anything because of scandal, did he?
I won't start kicking down doors until we get through all the items. Once we're through all the items, then I'll start going kicking down doors.
Yeah, well, we
Good to see you've got your priorities straight.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's door kicker extraordinaire, so it would be rude for him not to share his skills with the masses, I guess. Yeah, he looks at the wand. He casts Identify again ritualistically, and he confirms this is a wand of secrets.
My secrets.
Do people want
What secrets are those?
Describe a wand of secrets. Okay.
Please do.
Basically, if you can Google the thing or you can look it up in the DM's guide. But roughly speaking,
I'm gonna go get my DM's guide.
Yeah, it has 3 charges, and you can burn charges if you know the command word, which is actually just simply reveal your secrets. But you have to say it like a potion master in a school.
Reveal your secrets.
And it will then reveal secret doors or traps within 30 feet. And it points. It literally pulses and points. It kind of points itself to the nearest one. And at every dawn, it regains 1 to 3 charges. So it's useful. It reveals secrets. Hidden things.
Cool. We now have goggles.
We do have goggles.
I would say that perhaps the Wand of Secrets should be held by somebody who doesn't forget that they have detect magic.
Orkon's been pretty good at remembering his various class traits.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I wouldn't mind having that.
He's more likely to be scouting ahead, I suppose. That would make sense.
You now have the Wand of Secrets.
I shall add it to my sheet. Oops. Wrong button. There we go.
Okay.
Yes, we have goggles.
He has a little look at the goggles. He turns them over. He kind of nods a little bit. He decides to place just one of them over one eye and look through it. And yeah, he confirms that these are goggles of night. Basically,
Goggles of night.
Gives
you dark vision.
Yes, it gives you dark vision to 60 feet. If you already have dark vision, they increase your dark vision by another 60 feet.
Ooh.
So it's actually, it's not useless to the races that already have dark vision. So it's entirely up to you guys as to whether you give it to someone who's lacking dark vision, so that everyone has it, or more people have it, or you give it to the person who has the best dark vision to give them even better long-range dark vision.
I think the big question is, do they have to be attuned to, or is it just a wondrous item?
It is just a wondrous item.
I would say that Callie would probably
on.
benefit the most from them, generally.
I mean, it would mean I wouldn't have to carry that incredibly loud candle everywhere.
You do have a drift. You do have a drift globe now.
It's true. So if I don't know, Orkon wants the goggles because he usually scouts ahead, and if I recall correctly, you've got dark vision, right?
Yes. Sorry, had to throw out some things there.
I do feel like because we can't give the goggles to both Daniel and Callie, that is going to be more useful at the present moment to have it on.
Just give them to somebody because they're just goggles and we can pass them around as needed.
I think I would actually be good with more of the party being able to see really anything as opposed to just me being better at seeing. Yeah, usually.
To me.
Usually when I'm sneaking around.
The reason I say Callie is because Callie's the one with the ranged attack, whereas Daniel can carry a light that can do like 30 feet of vision, which is kind of good enough for melee.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I'll grab them then.
Okay, Callie, you've got the goggles of night.
60 foot plus 60 feet of dark vision.
I think that person trying to call me was trying to sell me insurance.
Ugh. Disgusting.
No, go away.
So now we have a cap.
A cap. He sort of nods and admits that it's unlikely to be anything that's useful. But he's happy to identify it anyway. And it does require him to cast Identify. he does so, and he reveals that whoever's wearing this, will be able to create a bubble of air around their head while underwater, if they speak a command word anyway. So,
Cap of water breathing.
Yes.
Now, how can we twist this into a means to resurrect someone?
I was just thinking that.
I mean, if you
reverse drowning?
Well, you're pretty sure since you watched both these kids die, you're pretty sure they didn't drown. Well, they weren't kids, but,
The part that makes me really worried is the fact that I'm pretty sure they died because brain damage.
I guess the cap of water breathing can either be stayed to be sold, or that doesn't really need to go to anybody right now.
Yep.
In fact, actually, with Niacin, we don't need it at all because water breathing's a ritual.
It's still worth keeping hold of.
So we have 8 arrows of
whatever the fuck.
He studies the arrows. He kind of balances an arrow on one finger. It was almost as part of his study of it. And without casting Identify, he reveals that these are most likely +1 arrows. It's highly unlikely they're going to be anything. He doesn't say +1, but you know what I mean. He describes them thusly that they give you a minimal, the lowest tier of arrow, that magical arrow that provides,
Orkon.
extra accuracy and damage.
Yes.
You now have 8 +1 arrows.
Wait.
Now, I don't run magical arrows exactly how that he does in the book. In the book, it says you use them once, they lose their magical enchantment. That is what the official line on magical fucking arrows is in DnD5e, which I disagree with. So when you fire the arrow, if you hit certain kinds of enemies, golems for example, you're more likely to have them be broken and damaged. If they fly off a cliff, then you're probably not going to get them back. So it's a case-by-case situation. Generally speaking, you're just going to have to lump it up if you get a couple of unlucky things. There's no specific role. It will be just logic case-by-case. So be careful if you're aiming at someone who's got a solid stone wall behind them. Because, if you miss, it'll hit the wall, slightly more likelihood of them breaking. If you hit some squishy fucking, person, chances are they'll be absolutely fine. So it's really just a case of a bit of common sense for you to not lose your magical arrows.
Makes sense. So you get 8 of those +1 arrows.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 8 +1 arrows. Lantern.
Yeah, he checks the lantern out, and it's one of the quickest ones that he takes as far as being able to summarize and figure out what it does. He reveals that this is he reveals
oh boy.
that it's a lantern of revealing.
Cool.
Yeah, that
Just
sheds
quite
some
the
light
revelation.
on.
Yeah, no.
I was going to say it sort of shed some light right there on what your conclusion was going to be on it.
Yeah, it did. I mean, this guy knows magic. He's very learned. He's not fireball flinger wizard, but he knows his fucking shit as far as general scholarly pursuits concerned. He doesn't know humor though. Humor is not a strong suit.
I mean, he's already better at. He's more forthcoming with his information than I keep forgetting his name. Jadim, I want to say.
Who?
Bloke, what does identify? Jasim?
Oh, Lassim over at the... Oh, yeah,
Lassim.
yeah. Well, this guy's being paid under retainer by Malister. He's probably getting paid a lot more than Lassim got paid for that one identifier, which was like 50 gold or something. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but it was a fairly hefty sum.
Daylight robbery is what it was.
Yeah, but this guy's already getting paid. So as far as he's concerned, any item may have some hidden properties. So therefore, he can legitimately say, yeah, I sat here and identified all these items because, you know what, any one of them may have some hidden property. For all he knew, it was some weird wizard that decided to take a lantern of revealing, disenchant it, and re-enchant it with a raised dead that works once a year. You know what I mean? It's like, you can do that shit.
Work.
Could you imagine? You are a wizard, you are bored, you are powerful, so you just take all the magic items from the local shops, swap all the enchantments around, and then just sell them back into the market and confuse every fucker. You know, reverse the enchantment on a sword of
true resurrection.
Exactly.
Something with it.
If you strike a dead person, or while it's embedded in a wound, the person is dead, it then casts true resurrection on them. So you finally get the killing blow. It true resurrects them immediately.
Be very careful when you use that on zombies.
It explode. No, if you hit it on a zombie, they'd come back, wouldn't they? It's true
That's
resurrection.
The problem.
Yeah, they
exactly,
were.
because
I'm back.
it's true resurrection. So it's like, why are you stabbing me?
The necromancer would go nuts. It's like, stop resurrecting my zombies.
And they're all like, hang on a
They
second.
just turn around and go, right.
I remember you. You killed me and then raised my corpse. My spirit vaguely remembers that, you bastard.
It's like turning necromancer's strategy on himself. You know, the idea that, you know, he kills you and then turns you against yourself. And it's like, no, actually, we can do that back again.
You could turn.
Age-old know you.
You know what? Take a sword of sharpness and change it into a hilt of sharpness. When you score a critical, your hand is severed. All your fingers just fly off. Be hideous. But anyway, sorry, nonsense. The lantern revealing, for those who don't know, basically it requires fuel like a normal lantern, I believe. Yes, it does.
Yes.
And it sheds bright light in a 30-foot radius, dim light for another 30. Invisible creatures and objects are visible as long as they are in the bright light.
Ooh.
Nice.
We have a pike next.
Sort of half on the table.
Plus one pike.
Oh, and then we have a set of leather armor.
He has to cast Identify in this one. He says it will have some kind of resistance, he believes. He sits there, casts Identify ritualistically as per previous conversations, and he reveals that it is an armor of lightning resistance. Leather armor. It does not have any extra protection other than the fact that you take half damage from lightning when you're wearing it.
Cool.
Well, that would
have
have been useful.
So, anyone else want to claim the leather armor there?
Do you want it, Orkon?
I'm thinking about it. I got studded leather right now, but
It would drop you down to leather.
yeah.
Yeah,
It also requires attunement.
I think I'll actually pass because I think that little extra AC is probably going to be better for me in the long run.
Yeah, I'm not about that lower AC life.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunately every item of interest in the item of interest section.
Right then. Well, you've all had them identified basically for free. Because, you know, this is...
I have now just sorted the party loot, but everything that is in the item of interest that doesn't
I take it we
need
know
to
that the
be
jewellery
with
that
someone.
we found in the Mage Tower wasn't magical.
Yeah, like detect magic that would have pinged.
What, you mean the magical
Well, we
ring
found
that you
those
found?
before you cast detect magic, though. They were on the second floor. You didn't cast detect magic till the third floor.
Yeah.
We did say that we cast detect magic and like scanned the rest of it though. So
Yeah,
we would have
scanned the loot that we'd have got as well.
It was my belief that you had been told that the ring, one of the rings that you found, was indeed magical.
Well, there we are then.
No.
This is why I was checking. Don't
Yeah.
That one
argue,
ring.
Foxy.
No. I'm saying that
What's wrong with you?
no,
Okay, You're right. It's not magical. Moving on.
That if you want to play it like that was fine. I was just saying no, you hadn't told us.
Well, you don't remember me telling you when you were listening.
So we're going to pass this magic ring to him as well, potentially. Maybe it's a ring of wishes. Who knows?
Which
Which
ring is this?
This is the ring that you found in the tower, Veren's tower.
Oh, we found 2 rings and a bracelet.
Yes.
Okay. The ring, one of the rings and the bracelet are not magical.
Okay, so one of them
one ring is actually magical.
Okay.
He takes the ring and he looks it over for a little bit. Casts Identify, and reveals that this is a ring of mind shielding.
Oh boy.
Mind shield. Second.
Yeah, there's technically one more thing. The continually light candle.
Oh yeah,
I can tell you what that is.
Yeah.
Because I can do that spell.
Yeah, basically it is literally just a spell on a normal item, but the spell has an infinite duration until dispelled, or it's physically snuffed, right? Aggressively snuffed. Yeah, continual flame.
Yeah. Just want to be sure.
Yeah. There's nothing. I mean, it's magical, but it's it's not a magical item per se. It's just a spell that has a very long duration, as long as the item that it's cast upon isn't destroyed.
Actually.
What is a ring of mind shielding?
I'm imagining it makes you immune to psychic damage.
So you can't
no,
have your thoughts
it means
read.
that people can't read your mind unless you allow it.
Yeah, basically, you can't read your thoughts.
And if you die, you can actually put your soul into the ring and still talk to people after you're dead.
That's pretty useful.
It's pretty fucking
does anyone
weird.
object to me having that?
Yep.
You object?
I'm fine.
I do object.
You do? Okay.
May I ask why?
Because I've seen you read people's minds.
And I've already promised never to read anybody here's minds. Why would you have to worry about that? Are you saying you don't trust me? Blink, blink.
Nah, I feel like this is a conversation I've had with my girlfriend before, but...
Wow.
Go on.
Got a ring of mind shielding in real life? You fucking cocky bastard. What else did you find in real life? Women are always right, Adrik. Don't mess with Callie.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, I honestly would probably say if you are able to read minds, you've probably got more of a chance of avoiding your mind read.
Not at the moment, actually. It's something I've been very worried about.
You lying?
Nope.
Quick, put the ring on. Try and detect if she's lying.
I'm not lying.
Did you not prepare Zone of Truth this morning?
I did, actually. I can't
go ahead there, and I'm still not lying. I am telling the complete truth.
I can actually believe that myself, but that's entirely up to Adrik whether he believes it.
I'm astonished that you don't trust me this much that you're not taking me at my word.
This is a bit rude.
Well, Adrik is the most paranoid of a lot of us, I think.
It's funny considering he's such a pious man.
Taking things as a matter of faith should become second nature to him.
I
skeletons hit anywhere.
I don't think any of us should have this ring.
Oh, you think we should sell it?
Yes.
Cool. Then in that case, let's put it in the party loot.
Okay.
If none of us should have it.
Yep.
That seems reasonable.
Not a problem.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the things that we found. And bottles of ink and bits of paper and an arcane focus, I believe Callie said it was. But that's it, really.
Yeah, was it, he nods, and he sort of sighs. Again, you get the impression that he kind of expected this, or maybe he's been in this situation more than once, shall we say, and has, maybe he's given up, but ultimately, you know, keeping faith, keeping hope alive and getting paid while doing it, you know, maybe that's worth doing.
We never did actually find the missing dude.
No.
Well, you know, when
maybe he's
got
the other sending stone.
I'll clear my throat to draw people's attention to me. I did get a little bit of a ping from the ring here that felt like there was some movement, but couldn't really pinpoint if it was because, you know, the other individual was nearby or they were just changing location, and I felt something there. So I'm not, you know, but otherwise we didn't really see any clear indication of where they might have been. We did run into a couple of bodies that had been caught in traps in the tower. I don't think we got a good description of your compatriot in order to identify if this was the person that this body was theirs and someone else may have run off with the ring.
Well, if you're getting any indication off the ring itself, then none of the bodies you found would have been him. I tried to convince Mr. Mallister that although seemingly trustworthy at the time, it does seem like more and more likely that he is absconded with some valuable item or something. Perhaps deciding that half the payment was better than any risks for exploring the tower. I'm not sure. But certainly, if you're receiving anything from the ring at all, then he would be still alive somewhere. You would certainly know if the other ring was being not worn or worn by a dead man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess maybe this is a question that Mr. Mallister should be the one asking or answering. But would there be a possibility that us tracking them down still to try to retrieve said payment might be in the books?
Well, how far were you able to get into the tower before the key became a requirement?
Oh, it was like the first floor, right?
Very first thing?
It would seem unlikely.
Ground floor.
Yes, Ty, thank you very much. You are correct. Americans get it all wrong. Anyway.
I said the very first thing, thank you.
Which is fair enough. But anyway, he carries on and says, I don't think that there's much need for that. If he had found something that was likely, I suspect that he would have retrieved it and brought it back to get payment, claiming that was the only thing to be found. No, I think it is more likely that he is absconded. Perhaps hoping to sell the ring, although he was told that it was for his safety. It's unusual that he is still wearing it. Perhaps one of those mysteries that will not be sold.
I don't think it's worth trying to use the sending stone to see if we can discover if the other one is in somebody's possession.
He shrugs and says that, yeah, you do whatever you want, they're your items.
I guess another
is this line open? Over.
Are you literally going to be sending something using the stone?
Why not?
Okay, tell me the exact wording I use. You got 25 words.
All right, give me a moment to start thinking that over. In the meantime, people do their stuff. I'll message that to you when I'm ready. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, you can sort of type it out for one, or you can make it up on the fly or whatever. I mean, as long as it's not obviously longer than 25 words. I'm not going to be a stickler if it's 26.
Right, we can start packing this stuff away, and we'll slide the pike into the bag of holding.
Pretty sure it doesn't fit in the bag of holding.
Really?
I don't think. Do they?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't break
width, isn't it? Yeah.
the
Put some polystyrene. Opening. Put some polystyrene on the end of the tip or something.
Yep.
We can just wrap the end of it in some cloth or leather or something.
That's the traditional method.
Because it's a long thing item, so we can just slide it in. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Fair enough. I can't remember if there was a minimum depth to a.
No. Infinite.
I thought a bag of holding was basically just like Mary Poppins' handbag, carpet bag. Like you can fit hat stands and the whole room of furnishings in there. That's the whole point.
So yeah.
I will ask our mage friend here if there's anything else he thinks we can do to help improve the situation for our employer.
He shakes his head and admits that although Mr. Mallister has revealed a certain amount to you, and he has been entirely revealing in that he hasn't revealed just how short time is right now. That it is going to be less than a week before things become irreparable, or at least even more difficult. And I have said to him in no uncertain terms that I will be no part of anything that goes on after then. He has begrudgingly admitted that at that point he will do the decent thing and face whatever repercussions that may come from what he has done. But I genuinely believe he has no intention of doing anything that we would consider hasty or immoral from beyond that point.
25 exactly. Jesus Christ.
Quarter. Yeah.
25 what?
That's how you do it.
Oh, okay. Damn. Okay. Go on, give us, say it out loud then, as you say it.
Hello, is the bearer of this stone alive? We are adventurers near Shadford. Respond with your location. Willing to assist if you are in danger.
That's very, very succinct. Very, very informative, polite.
That is how you use sending.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hats off to you on that one. Okay. Are you gonna wait for a response, or are you just gonna crack on with stuff? Okay. You don't get anything in 5 minutes. Bear in mind, you just have to be in possession of the stone, so it's not like you have to have it up to your ear or anything. As long as you are carrying it in some fashion, then yeah, it's gonna ping. I would say if it's in a bag of holding, no, because it's technically then not on your plane. But yeah, if it's not inside an extra dimensional space and you're carrying it in some way. Put it in
your pocket.
Yeah, pocket.
I'll hold it.
Backpack.
I'll hold it around.
Yeah, pocket, backpack, pouch, inside, fucking whatever. Yeah, as long as it's.
Speaking of the Malister, where the fuck is he?
I will see if he is risen yet. I know he was up rather late last night, pacing as he normally does.
Shuffling about.
Does he pace up and down the corridor?
I believe so. He has not been able to sleep for a great many days now. I'll see if he's even touched his breakfast. Please bear with me. And the guy gets up, excuses himself, scoots around, and heads up the stairs toward the rooms.
I'm gonna totally wait for the classic horror woman scream.
There's a body! And he'll have been dead for more than a minute, so you'll need something special to get him back as well.
Ba-dum, ba-ba-ba-bum, ba. Law and Order, Shadford Victims Unit.
It's murder!
D&D took a turn for the Agatha Christie.
Someone in this tavern murdered this. Yeah, exactly. And it's
nobody
can
leave this tavern unless we've talked.
And it's one of you 6 here tonight. Surely not one of us. Yes, one of you. Oh my goodness.
Well, do you know how they died? They exploded.
Yes.
If you will bear with me, I think you'll find that they exploded.
Oh, but are you sure, Monsieur Hercule Poirot? Are you sure? Anyway, let's not get too crazy with that. Otherwise, I'll fucking make a murder mystery for you guys. Not the fucking undead shenanigans, but an actual murder fucking mystery.
Just on that note, just a little short comedy sketch that's so funny that takes the piss out of that.
Go on then. Let's load this up. I mean. Oh, this. Oh shit, yeah, I'd forgotten about this one. I'm gonna, because it's for a laugh.
Shades of lipstick were identical, which means that only you, Mademoiselle Brown, could have placed a cigarette case underneath the body.
Surely, Monsieur Poirot, you're
Anyway,
not accusing me of murder.
So we'll highlight the fact that there it is, and
it exists.
It's a thing that exists. Yeah, Sean Webb, look, the evil voice. It's so good.
Funny.
It is good as well. Oh dear. So no, we're not going to be doing any of that. Are you guys doing anything while you're waiting for the wizard with no name?
I'll sit and wait. Daniel's going to whip out his
Excuse me?
and do some reading.
Okay.
Yes. I'm reading as well, so.
Okay.
That's too many books for me, so I'm going to go to the bar.
Have fun.
Proximity.
Nerds.
Books are like kryptonite to a dwarf. No! It's funny because it's true.
Somewhere a dwarf wizard looks up and goes, "Hey, I resent that."
Yeah, the singular dwarf wizard.
What you do is you're just walking down the street, and then you just suddenly like run at someone with a book and go books, and then and if they jump in surprise, then they are also surprised and displeased by books. It's quite common, you know. Right. So.
Foolproof.
It is a foolproof check to see if people are afraid of books. Is to run at them in the street suddenly without warning with a book screaming books at them.
Greetings, good sir. I'm a travelling librarian.
Books! Ah! Yeah, exactly. I would say about 15-20 minutes pass, and the wizard comes back down, sits at the table, and he says, "Yes, Mr. Malister will be down shortly. He's refreshing himself."
Well, there goes the murder plot.
Sorry, guys. If you really want a murder mystery, I can make you one, but it'll be.
I mean, I've got the perfect spell
Please,
set.
we're
for
not
that.
good at investigation.
Says you.
And I'm not good at making investigations.
I mean, I've got detect thoughts. I don't know what you guys' problems are.
Yeah, we could play good cop, bad cop, Daniel.
In fairness, would be mostly bad cop, not so bad cop.
I'm very good at inciting people.
Inciting them to violence, perhaps. Mostly by giving them violence. You know, violence begets violence style.
You weren't necessarily the best negotiator for the goblins.
Well, technically, we don't know that. No, we do not know that. We have yet to see him attempt negotiation. So we don't actually know if he's any good at it.
Well, he did calm down Marine.
I mean, that is true. But that's because he's racist and loves only dwarfs.
That's correct.
Not technically true, but you know, he's still nevertheless took a shining to Marine. I think it was the bird in his beard. It kind of like normally Adrik's like, I'm gonna kick your daughter down, and there's all that kind. And he's like, I'm gonna kick out why you got a bird in your beard, and then that's it. He was disarmed by the madness of the beard bird man.
Bird accessories, it works.
It works. It calms frenzied cleric dwarves.
Yep.
So yeah, you guys sit around, and yeah, wizard is kind of, he doesn't look uncomfortable. He just kind of, he looks a little bit sheepish almost, in the sense that he's kind of like, maybe he's not used to working for Malister when he's in this way kind of thing. You get the impression he does respect him, but you yeah, it's not a good time for Mr. Malister right now. He introduces himself properly, formally, as a kind of like, he's like, oh yes, of course, I don't think I've been formally introduced. And he looks around for confirmation, and I suspect that he gets confirmation. Mm-hmm. My name is Ames. And he holds his hand out to shake hands.
Ames, he said?
Ames. Ames.
Ames.
Yes.
Well, you look alright to me.
Bear in mind, technically, in the common tongue, a mess doesn't actually sound like a mess. So, it's not English, remember. Just because you're uncouth and don't understand the common tongue in my world doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure it gets hard.
Very subtle. I knew from the tone of voice you were referencing something very subtle.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, you have to be in the other game to understand that in the Thursday game, but yes, not bad, not bad. Anyway, and he introduces himself as, effectively, he's the family wizard. He literally just says that, and explains that he sort of worked for the Malisters for about 15 years now. The family often have a priest and a wizard that doesn't work exclusively for them, but, you know, is on retainer. And times like this, when his expertise is needed, then, yeah, he comes and sorts things out. He's known the family for quite some time as friends, and then, you know, as he became more learned in the ways and more educated, he joined them. He figures you guys perhaps deserve an explanation as to who the fuck he is and why is he here.
I, for one, really appreciate this. It's always nicer knowing who you're working with.
Yeah, he reveals that he's quite worried about Reynold. He actually calls him Reynold for once.
Has he ever been like this before?
It's not very often 2 kids die.
I mean,
well, I'm just wondering how many other tragedies like this he's actually been through. A lot of people don't know how they're going to act until that sort of stuff happens to him.
He's not aware of Mr. Malister ever having faced a tragedy involving the death of someone close to him, let alone someone like directly related. So, it's one of those things where he's also made worse by the fact that, of course, as far as the head of the family, he's expected to be the strong one. So a lot of all of this is going on in secret, even from his wife, because he's supposed to be the strong one. And he
must be devastating.
He says that he's basically got the excuse of he's been away on business, but he trusts you guys. Not only does Amis trust you, but also Mr. Malister does. So he doesn't feel like he's probably overstepping his bounds, but he kind of feels like, you know, you guys have gone through quite a bit. You're obviously...
He's basically a bit embarrassed that Mr. Malister's not here yet.
And also that he hasn't introduced him. He's just like literally jumped straight in, which is very out of character. So he's... it is not too much later that you do actually see Mr. Malister coming down the stairs. He's actually had a shave. His clothing's still a bit grubby here and there. Certainly far cleaner than almost anybody else's clothing, including your guys' clothing, that's for certain.
Oh, yeah.
But for him, from his original sort of like, the way he was with his I mean, he had different clothing on every day, and it was always clean. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, exactly. It's like, why do you need more than like one set of clothing, maybe 2 if you're a priest kind of thing? It's like, what the fuck?
That's pretty fancy digs.
Yeah, he's got like fucking, really fancy house as well. But yeah, he arrives, he's still looking a bit grubby, but he's had a shave, his hair's sort of like half been kind of sorted. And he apologizes as he sits down, and he has a brief talk with Amis, which is very much a summary of, you know, have they found anything? Is anything useful? And when, I mean, Amis does his best, and he literally just says it flat out with a little bit of tact, but, you know, without delaying the news, that there's nothing. There's nothing that would allow that. And at first you kind of like, who is the most insightful amongst you?
Not me.
Hello.
Adrik, by a mile.
Adrik, go on, Adrik, give us an insight check.
Oh, here we go. 18.
Okay.
The mediocre roll.
Reynold nods. He takes a drink out of the cup that he brought down. It's only a small cup. You're not sure what's in it. Looks clear. Probably water. Who knows? Maybe it's some sort of spirit. I'm not sure. He nods. He says, "Excuse me for a moment. I'll be back shortly." And he walks out the front door. Now, your insight is sufficient that he is on the verge of breaking down. But he's like, you guess it, he's prepped himself for bad news, and he's just holding it in. You glance out the window, and he is just stood across the road near the stables. He hasn't legged it, is my bottom line, because you're right there near the window, so you can see. But yeah, he's out there trying to compose himself. But he's accepted the bad news.
Quick, somebody prestidigitate sad music.
In his ears.
I'm gonna head outside.
Give him a moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'd want some time alone if this happened to me.
What are you doing, Adrik?
I'm gonna head outside.
I'm gonna ignore your wise fellows. I suppose for the person with the highest wisdom score, you're not necessarily the most wise character. But anyway, okay, you head outside.
I'm gonna walk over to him.
If you burn him with the light of Paler, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
For all your messing around with bodies, you don't understand. Die.
Exactly.
I'll walk over to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll look at him. I'm guessing he's broken down.
He looks like he's just like holding it back. He sees you coming, he straightens his back and he clears his throat and kind of dusts himself off and says, "Hello there, Adrik. Thank you for doing your best."
Shut up. I'm not a priest. I'm not a healer. I'm not a comforting man. But an Adrik will put a hand on his soldier. There, shoulder.
You can just about reach.
A hand on his shoulder. And be like, your friends, your family, I understand it's a difficult time. I'll be there for you. But you have to keep strong for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, bear in mind, he's not even going to try and roll a save. It's a case of he wants the result of this spell, so effectively he fails his save willingly. And he does. He sort of straightens up and... You don't think he knew you cast a spell, or maybe he's just being polite and just just accepting that you haven't. Who knows? Can you guys still hear me? Because my TeamSpeak's being weird. Well, I lost internet. I would be disappointed if I lost internet. Hello? Hello? My goodness. Everything's gone black. Okay, well, I'm going to disconnect and reconnect to TeamSpeak. Hello? Hello? How weird. Does everyone in the stream hear me okay? Alright. Bear with me, guys. That is just bizarre. Yeah. Right. I think my TeamSpeak's just been stupid. That is weird. Its TeamSpeak's normally really stable.
Connected. Channel switched.
That was weird. TeamSpeak's normally really solid and stable, but mine just, I couldn't see any lights lighting up in this channel at all. I couldn't hear you guys. That was very weird.
It was very weird indeed. You missed the entire emotional speech that Foxxy had then.
Oh. Well, that's unfortunate.
You missed Adrik being thoughtful and caring and nice.
As much as
It's never going to happen again. You missed it. It's gone.
Channel switched. Channel switched.
Now I've got a weird thing of the TeamSpeak thing not working properly. What the hell's going on with this thing? I swear it's just everything's going wrong.
Haunted?
This is everybody's fault but mine.
I mean, yeah, it's just weird things going on. Oh, sorry guys. I'm just going to have to try and sort out the stream.
Should we take a 5-minute break?
Yeah, that's, you know what, that's a sensible idea. We'll take a 5-minute break. I'm going to restart some things and see if I can get it sorted and working.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
That sounds very reasonable. See you guys in 5.
See ya.
Gonna stretch my legs.
Yeah, seems like a reasonable thing to do. There we go. Yeah, so, guys, yeah, see you guys in 5.
Microphone muted. Microphone activated.
I am back. But nobody else is.
Rawr.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm gonna put together 2 what do you call it? Some robe of useful item stuff.
Yeah, excellent. Does a robe like that something you can wear over your armor?
Technically, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just it's not a piece of armor, it's a wondrous item. So you can kind of wear it over the top as, yeah, it's no reason why not.
Wear it like a cloak.
Whoop, and my roll 20 crashed.
It's a wondrous item, so it doesn't confer any, it doesn't require attunement, it doesn't confer any special properties defensively, so yeah, just wear it.
Can you wear it as a turban instead of a coat?
No.
Oh, what? Like the robe of useful things? Is that what we're talking about?
We're talking about the robe of useful items, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just have it wrapped around you, just like around your waist as a belt thing. They'd probably take a use item action to unroll it,
and then another action,
use any of the patches,
and then an action to use a patch. So you're doubling the number of actions required, I would say. But yes, I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't wear it in some other other fashion. But there's no reason why you can't just wear it.
Did we figure out what was on the robe?
I'm putting that together now. I might ask people to roll some dice, just so that they can determine some other things.
Is everything alive again, by the way?
Yeah, it was weird.
Well, I'm glad to hear everything's solved.
Yeah, TeamSpeak just started being weird, and I had to close it completely. It's the first time I've ever had a client issue like that in a long time. It's like the first time TeamSpeak has actually had an issue since the last 20, 30 issues I've had on Discord. And I use TeamSpeak more than Discord, so it's like, what the fuck? They need to. I like Discord, don't get me wrong, and for those in the stream, I think it has a lot of cool features. And it's very straightforward and it's modern, but it's so unreliable. It's unreal. Server load, probably most of it, but I just wish you could make dedicated servers on it.
I'm just looking at the robe of useful items in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and there's some really funny things on there.
Oh, I'm putting more funny things in, don't worry.
Oh, if only we had a horse. It's like, let me rummage around in pockets. Oh, I'm sure I've got a horse around here somewhere.
Yeah, a riding horse with saddlebags.
My personal favorite use of the robe of useful items is in another campaign. I imprisoned an orc that was attacking me by plopping the 10-foot hold down in front of him and plopping the door on top of it.
It's like there's a horse, you've got potentially a rowboat, a pit. How can you carry a pit?
Magic.
Yep, it's the pit, dude. The pit and the door are two of the best things on there.
Oh, I've got a window here.
Yep.
The windows are also really useful. Oh my god, I wish I'd rolled some of those for the last one. If this one has windows, oh my god,
it does have at least one window in it.
Ah!
I mean, the 10-foot pole in of itself is pretty useful.
Yes.
And a mirror.
Yeah.
A mirror can be very
useful. Those top ones, you normally get 2 of those. Bear in mind, what I'm creating is a bit different.
No more shall we go unshaven when we're adventuring.
I know. Yeah, but the pit's amusing. Very amusing.
I love the 10-foot pit. It's particularly useful.
Wouldn't it be funny if, after all this, you go your separate ways, a few days later, you're just kind of like, oh, what is this scroll? You pull off the scroll and it's a scroll of Raised Dead.
Damn it.
It would be hilarious, wouldn't it?
Oh, that would have been the worst.
It would have been the best. It would be hilarious.
To be fair, it does specify in there that it's scroll
first to
third level.
But there are things like going on these robes that you don't get on a normal robe. I'm putting things on it you don't get on a normal robe.
Oh boy.
Yeah, somehow I don't think it would take a few days for us to get round to rummaging through this thing.
Well, you have to peel them off the outside of the robe, don't you? It's not like pockets. Yeah, it's got patches, and you pull the patches off and throw it on the ground or whatever, and then it becomes the thing that the patch is a picture of. But I am going to be a bit more revealing as to what these things actually are.
I've returned.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm just finishing touches to your robe of useful items.
Oh, cool. What did you put on it?
Stuff. I'm putting
patch of zombie
stuff.
army held in stasis.
You can have things in stasis. There's like 2 mastiffs you can have and a fucking riding horse. Really, there's more things than that on there.
Yeah, it also gets potions of healing and...
Also, potentially.
Is that one of the potential things? I thought that was just...
No, the healing is a potential. It's on the dice roll.
Oh.
You get a load of fairly mundane stuff as standard, but...
Yeah, you get dagger, bullseye lantern that's filled, steel mirror, 10-foot pole, a hempen rope, stack, and it has... The other rope has 44 other patches. Here's the patches. What did you roll on the 44?
I'm doing it slightly differently.
Okay, cool.
So I'm manually constructing this.
Totally want a portable RAM.
Yeah, I would say that the
We get windows. We get
such an
windows,
Adrik
guys.
thing to
you get
say.
at least one window.
I'm so stoked about the window. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
Just instant escape, basically.
Theoretically, yeah.
I'm gonna nope out of here. Whee!
Well, yeah, I mean, if we have Featherfall in the party from something, then maybe that's even better.
I mean, bear in mind, it's only if the wall is more than 2 foot thick, then it's not going to work.
Yep, so I gotta find, a more than a thinner section of wall if we're in that situation.
Unless you're in a castle.
Unless you're in a deliberate castle or fortified building, a wall's not going to be more than 2 feet thick. Because that's a waste of building material.
Agreed.
If a wall's more than 2 feet thick and it's not a castle, there's probably a secret passageway there.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't we put a pit on the side of the wall?
Yeah, the pit would work as well.
Pit just so even if it's a castle wall, like boop, there's a pit. Put a window at the end of the pit. There we go. Tunnel.
Yeah, you got 12 foot of depth at that point to get through.
Yeah, I hope one of them is a portable RAM, because that would be cool. Because that was one of the things that I was humming and hawing about getting to put on the cart.
Well, you'll just have to see, won't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're all ready to start when you are.
Yeah, I just need to put
pretty much
one more on here, and then...
I would like to just point out that how useful perhaps is a portable RAM now that we have Shatterspike.
I was gonna say,
It's like we could batter the door down, or we could just sort of cut it open.
Yeah, I would say
Look,
against
if
doors.
it's confiscated, and somehow they haven't confiscated the robe or examined what it does, say because we have it in a bag of holding hidden in, say, a sensitive place, then that could work.
I was gonna say, there is a portable RAM, but the RAM is in sheep. In fact, it's self-porting.
Just have to hope that the patch for the RAM doesn't come off while it's in said sensitive place.
Yes, that would be unfortunate.
Oh, ow.
What does a portable RAM do again? I think it gives you advantage on knocking doors down.
Knocking on that door over there.
Yeah.
Much as I know you enjoy kicking doors in, Adrik, I feel I need to point out that Daniel really quite enjoyed cutting that door out of its frame. There was something very satisfying about it. And then just sort of pushing it. To say, I'd still been quite interested to see what would happen if I'd hit the actual door with the shatter spike. Would have done
that
anything.
would be interesting. It is one of the few things we haven't tested for that yet.
This is true. Okay, guys.
Yes.
Do you want to know what is on the robe of useful items? Or shall... No. Let's carry on from where we left off. Adrik, I did miss a good part of your thing. You just cast Calm Emotions, and I accepted that he was failing his saving throw willingly because ultimately he wants the result of that. He probably doesn't know you cast the spell, but he just felt extra resolve. I didn't think I got anything more than after that.
Yeah, okay, I'll start from that point. But yeah, I'll hold him on the shoulder, and I'll cast Calm Emotions through him. I'll be like, I know it's a big responsibility being a man of the house. I've ran from it myself. But having a responsibility like this means you have to stay strong. Even in your times of dark emotions, you need to be strong for the people around you. Not for yourself, but the people around you. You think that of the people that are still here, that's where you'll draw your strength from. Don't forget your friends. Don't forget the rest of your family. Your children are probably in a better place now. And so with that, they would want you to live on and live your life to the fullest. And help your friends and family live on. You'll see them again one day, but keep your wits and keep your self together. Not for you, but for the people around you.
He nods, like almost imperceptibly.
And I turn round and I walk away. I don't say another thing. And I walk back in as if nothing happened.
That's fair enough.
And to Callie and Daniel, I just say to them, yeah, I maybe should have given him a minute and just go and stand where I was standing.
Yeah, I'm going to start making an Adrik bingo card at this rate.
Lol.
Well, I hope that you had a good time out there.
I mean, you can glance out, because inevitably someone is at some point going to glance out the window, and you see Renaud, he's sort of like looking down, not like at the floor, but just kind of like a little way off. He's clearly deep in thought, but he seems a lot calmer. He's standing a little bit straighter, and he takes in a deep breath. But he doesn't move, he just sort of sits there, and he kind of looks up at the sky a little bit. And you don't know what he says, unless any of you have literally got lip reading, but he does say something. He just says a few words while looking up. That's it. What are you guys going to do? Or shall we do the whole robe of useful items shenanigans?
Yeah. Robe!
Now's as good a time as any. I suspect Mr. Malistrat's probably going to be a while.
Yeah, and Orkon's also thinking about things, so...
You're thinking about things?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Are they useful things, though?
Well, potentially. I actually have something that I would like to do at some point, but now's not the time, so...
Okay. So, guys. I'm going to describe this, and then I am going to paste it somewhere. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a handout, and then I'm just going to put it in there and allow you guys to edit it. But it's going to be easier doing it this way, isn't it, than you just copying down the thing that I've literally just written out.
This is Roby Loot.
This is robe. Everything in the robe, because you can study it for a while. But Roby Loot is definitely. I mean, how the hell Roby Loot? I mean, sure, why not? All players, and robe of useful items. Images, because why the hell not? We might as well actually have the right image for it. Makes sense to me. Save image. Show there. Yes, I can see that someone's beep, 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 reversing the horse. Well, they were briefly.
Who would do such a thing? Also, how can they see it?
I can see it.
I see a Roby Loot.
You do see a Roby Loot. And I'm going to pull that into that area, and I'm going to show to play. So I'm going to read this out for everybody. No, don't read ahead, because it's more fun as I read it, I suppose. I'm going to, obviously you can see it all, but I am going to, read it out. So, guys, you have, look, it says 2 patches with daggers on them, just normal daggers. 2 patches with bullseye lanterns on them, full. They have fuel in them. 2 patches with steel mirrors on them. The mirrors are like small, relatively handy mirrors, good for signaling, good for checking your makeup. 2 patches with 10-foot poles on them. You also have 2 patches that have got a coil of silk rope on each of them, 50 foot long. You have 2 patches that have fishing nets on them, normal size, kind of like 1-person fishing nets, no trawling.
Oh, useful.
2 patches with iron doors, maximum 10 foot by 10 foot. They automatically fit and a space that they can fill. They will shrink down and merge into the frame. You have 1 window that's 2 by 4 foot and 2 foot deep. So it will literally just appear as a gap in a wall. You have a patch with a 10-foot folding wooden ladder. It has 1 fold in the middle. Oh! Guaranteed not to break under normal use. You also have a patch with a 15-foot folding wooden ladder on it that has 2 folds in the middle. Guaranteed not to break under normal use. It might take 2 people to actually unfold it and get it ready, though. So it's not something you could do in the middle of a fight or running away from rabid dogs. You also have a patch that has a full-sized iron anvil on it.
Heck.
You also have a patch that has a cage with an angry bear in it.
What's the betting that somebody's going to use that iron anvil patch and throw it on somebody's head from a height?
Yes!
Okay, just to say this, it is incredible.
Acme anvil.
Unfortunately, it's very difficult for something that's heavy to throw it and have it activate on someone. It's not difficult to avoid them. Obviously, if you throw
you could lean out a window and activate it.
Oh yes, yeah. If they're unsuspecting, absolutely, you could drop a full-sized iron anvil on someone. You'll still have to roll to hit, kind of thing, or they might get a dex save or something like. Who knows? You also get a patch with a riding horse that's got saddlebags. It's well fed. You also have a patch that has 12 chickens on it.
Ha
You have a patch that has a pit on it, which is basically a 10-foot cube that you can throw it on
a pit and a cage with an angry bear.
Oh, that's the best.
Okay. It's a grizzly bear as well. No, so, it's the full big nasty angry bear as well. It's a big bear. It's not a polar bear though. Sorry. You have a patch with a rowboat on it. It's got oars included. 12 foot long. You have a patch with 2 friendly mastiffs on it.
Yay, friend doggos.
You have a patch that has a 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot cube of solid ice.
Okay then.
So if we use our anvil, we got something else to drop on someone.
I mean, yeah, that's very...
That'll be heavier than the anvil.
That will be massively heavier than the anvil.
And harder to dodge.
Very hard to dodge. Yeah. But nevertheless, once it's there, it's potentially quite valuable.
No, we're going to use that to season a giant's cocktail.
It must be a very fucking
you needed
giant.
scotch on the rocks, guys.
Quick, the giant's going to kill us if we don't manage to find a way of cooling his vodka.
Exactly.
Okay, you have a patch with a bunch of okay, the person has to be present, but this patch will then automatically become a bunch of their favourite flower. They have to be present, but not the one that necessarily pulls the patch off. Yeah? You also have a patch that has a pair of friendly elks on it. One's a stag, one's a doe.
Is one of them named Ray?
You can name them if you wish.
I will name one of them Ray.
Okay. You also have a swarm of angry poisonous snakes on a patch.
Why did it have to be snakes?
You also have a patch with a granite statue of a beautiful woman.
Another thing to drop on people.
Exactly. You also have a patch with a freshly butchered cow. Literally every part of the cow has been expertly separated, butchered, and lined up nicely.
Something else to drop on people.
I was about to say that.
I mean, it's lots of individual pieces, but it's fresh.
I mean, the angry Allosaurus is pretty good to drop.
Oh yes, and finally, the patch has an angry Allosaurus on it.
Oh goodness.
How big is an Allosaurus in D&D?
Large, I thought, right? Or
large?
They're large or huge.
I'm just wondering whether it would fit in the 10-foot by 10-foot pit.
Oh my god, you could have pit fights. You could create a pit for the Allosaurus and then throw people in.
People that we want to intimidate and get information from. It's like, well, you can either talk to us, or you can torture you, or you can fight the bear or the Allosaurus in our pit.
What pit?
Well,
what Allosaurus?
If they defeat the bear,
oh my god!
They have the cage down there, so they can go hide in the cage while the
God,
Allosaurus
we can
tries
put
to eat the
angry
cage.
poisonous snakes in the pit. It's like a portable trap.
Well, no. On top of that, remember, we can also definitely get advantage on intimidate checks, feeding pieces of the freshly butchered cow to the angry Allosaurus in the pit.
Just remember, guys. Just remember.
Hungry.
Just remember, guys. Once a patch has become the thing that it is, that's it. It can't go back to being a patch again. So once you've created the pit, that's it. It's a pit. That's it. You can't pick it up again.
That's our only
So basically, what we need to do is we need to put this away and keep it for several months until Melek's forgotten about it.
Pretty much.
That can work. That can work. So, guys.
It's going straight into the bag and straight into the carty loot.
The carty loot. Well, it's technically roby loot right now, but yeah, somebody who has a robe somewhere, yeah, can wear that.
Who got the robe, by the way? Did anyone decide?
Nobody.
Cool. Yeah,
nobody
that should
decided.
be a communal item, I think.
Yes, I agree. I think that should be in the bag of holding or in the trap chest or whatever. It's one of the carty loot items that doesn't necessarily stay with the cart.
Can you take patches off of it and not throw them for a bit?
No. You need to use them the moment they are removed, because you have like moments before it transforms into the item. Or it's actually one action is to pull it off, use it.
First thou shalt take off the arcane patch. Then thou shalt count to 3. 3 shall be the...
2 is not the correct number unless one immediately proceeds to 3. 4 is too far.
4 I shall not count. Neither count now 2, excepting that thou then proceed to 3. 5 is right out. Once the third number, being the third number be reached,
throw us thine patch and get towards thine target. And being naughty in their sight, so squish it. So anyway, yes. An Allosaurus is a large beast.
Wow.
They're not like vastly huge creatures, but yes, they are large.
I mean,
combat
they're ferocious.
An Allosaurus.
Pardon?
What combat rating's an Allosaurus?
2.
Really? Only 2? That means that we could give Wiz a new wild shape.
I was about to say that might be worth throwing just so that Wiz can turn into one.
Hey, it's something that occurred to me when I was putting it in there. But yes, I thought I'd specify whether they're angry or friendly in the descriptions. If it says neither friendly or angry, they will just be normal behavior.
Okay.
So, the 12 chickens, when they suddenly appear, they'll behave like chickens, which is probably like completely ignore you and peck at the ground a lot, because chickens are stupid.
Yep.
So, guys. Malice is outside. Amis is sat at the table with an ale. It's a bit early in the morning, but you think that he's maybe not suffering as much as Alistair, obviously, but yeah, it's still stressful in a drink.
It's got to be hard for him, too.
Well, Daniel's going to get his book back out and just sit and wait. There's no hurry.
I'm going to thumb through my particular tome of choice, my little book of shadows there.
I still got my journal reading.
Peer around for a sec. Well, haven't we all picked up our books, then?
I know, you fucking all have got random books that I've dished out or have been asked to produce. So it's
I'm going back to the bar.
Yeah, you're gonna go back to the bar. Why don't you go and drink with the wizard? It's the wizard who's not reading, for goodness sakes, guys.
I will drink with the wizard, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fairly, I mean, he's clearly well educated, but he doesn't seem particularly pompous or posh or noble or anything. He just seems like a well-learned, pretty clean guy who happens to be a wizard. Or at least certainly as close as damn it to a wizard, anyway. I mean, he can cast Identify as a ritual. You've seen that much. So, obviously, it's he's enough of a wizard. Okay. Oh, God. Yeah, you were looking around the journal. What I'll do is I'll at some point sit with you, Izzy, and I will go through what Orkon finds in the journal if there's anything particularly useful. Not a great number of things that are especially useful. A lot of it's sort of boring kind of triumphs of the lady kind, as I think I mentioned before.
Yes.
But there's a few little place names been mentioned and oddities. So yes, there may be something useful in there. So you'll have to poke me at some point while I'm on TeamSpeak, and I will go through that with you. It'll only take 5 minutes tops, maybe 10. Not going to be
Yes, well, I just mainly wanted to illustrate what Orkon's motivations for reading right now, as opposed to, interacting with the NPCs. It's like,
fair enough.
Well, maybe I could still help with something here.
Yeah. Daniel, you're reading your book, you say?
Yes.
I mean, at this point, if you're going to spend time reading, I mean, how long are you guys willing to sit here before you decide to either head on, talk to Malister?
Well, I think we can afford to wait until close to midday, because at that point we'll probably want to head back towards Shadford, probably.
I mean, bear in mind that the trip between here and Shadford, I mean, I'll switch to the main map so that you can be reminded of the distance. I've also revealed where the tower was, so I'm going to quickly move.
10 feet.
Shush.
Well, when we came here, we set off
morning
sort of around that time.
Yeah, it was later morning.
Got a bit dark. So basically, we're going to want to set off
before it gets midday. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to wait till midday. I mean, because although you've got most of the day to travel, it's still technically you're traveling across the road. I took a bit of liberty with it before, but honestly, that sort of distance, obviously it's not 10 feet, but that sort of distance technically should take you a whole day over road. But I knew you were going to have a rest.
We can afford to travel at a fast pace because we're not.
Yeah.
To be fair, a whole day's travel is only 8 hours.
Yeah, because you got to have various rests and breaks and rations and shit like that. So yeah, fair enough. And as you can see, I did reveal the where the tower is approximately.
Yes. Now if we want to set up a secret base, we can set up at the tower, right?
Hey,
I guess that's actually not a bad idea. I mean,
wouldn't it just be better to try and discover the clearly unseen architect ritual and make our own?
I mean, I'd love to find the unseen architect ritual. I mean, that or we could go looking for more of those weird-ass dwarf tombs that are scattered everywhere.
Well, bear in mind, as far as everyone else is concerned, I think they've only ever found, 2. So
yeah,
everywhere.
I mean? That's
2.
More than one.
2.
That's more than one. That's
everywhere. Yeah, 2, Callie. Yes.
That's more than one. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, everywhere.
It's a confusing sort of thing to run into.
It is. Yeah.
More than once.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Definitely more than once.
Where did we run into the second one?
You were probably a bit out of it for the second.
Pretty much.
What? The first one I remember, which was the one that we found when we did the boss fight with the zombies and all that, with the whistle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where the second one is.
Wasn't there one in the not in the mine, but around the mine?
No.
That's where I remember the other one being.
Nope.
I might be imagining things.
I think you're imagining things.
Yeah, but still, I bet you there's other dwarf tombs out there. That's what I'm getting at. We can make one of those our secret base.
Let's not make a secret base in my ancestors' tombs.
Oh, what? Suddenly you've got a problem with that?
Are these your ancestors? Are you from this part of the world?
technically, bear in mind that these tombs are so old, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Who knows what migrations haven't been documented? They might be. I mean, I don't think Adrik's from this region by birth, but who knows whether the dwarves that were alive in that time migrated off to then end up being his ancestors. Who knows? I don't think there's a, ancestry pathfinding spell that shows a picture of the world and where all your ancestors have traveled to. You know what I mean?
Oh man, the wizard that crafts that though is gonna make a mint.
Yeah, it would be fascinating.
Oh my god, imagine how much nobles would charge for that.
Now, here is your father's line going back 5 generations and where they originally were born, and it's like all little dot to dot kind of thing on the illusion of
Welcome
the world.
to Ancestry.magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So guys, you're gonna chill for a bit. At some point, Reynold does come in. He thanks you all individually for the time that you spent and the danger you faced, and he apologizes that he's not been as accommodating as he would like to be. But he hopes that the things that you've recovered are enough of a payment for the dangers that you've faced.
I give him a hug, if that's not too indecorous.
He doesn't shy away, but he kind of like pauses for a bit and sort of like pats you on the shoulder kind of thing.
Okay, this is awkward, but okay.
He's obviously a little bit awkward. And he says that he left a boy looking after the cart, or 2 boys technically, making sure, and he'd paid them well, that if the cart disappeared, not only would they not get paid, but they would also hear from the guards, because they would obviously be prime suspects. And yes, the cart has been there, and you recognise that one of the boys that sat outside is not the same one you saw before, but they've obviously been keeping an eye on it. So obviously it's worked, whatever arrangement he'd come up with. And he makes his excuses, and he goes off to the stables unless anyone interrupts him, and he gets on a horse, and he makes his way south back towards Shadford.
Well, when he's doing his things, I will offer, like, if there's anything else that we can do, do let us know.
Are you gonna slyly slip him your business card and the fact that you're reading a book that might have an answer? You're gonna get his hopes up.
Well, no, I'm not going to be that obvious. This is more to, if he comes up with something, to let us know.
Mm-hmm.
He nods, he smiles, and he makes his way. He's solemn. He seems calm. He seems a little bit more stronger, I suppose, than he's
What's the duration of calm emotions again?
I mean, it's going to have been gone by now, but you get the impression that the non-magical stuff, the non-magical stuff probably had a far longer duration than the magical stuff.
This is true. He said things. He dropped truth bombs and stuff, including background bombs. Oh boy.
I know. Everyone's like,
And then when he walked in, Adrik made it sound like that he was completely in the wrong and shouldn't have done that.
I'm sorry, that's not fooling anyone. That's so un-Adrik.
So yeah, he.
That's what Adrik said. It was when he came back in. He was like, "Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have gone out."
You did. He literally did say that.
You.
Yeah, but nobody believes that you were being entirely genuous.
By the way, when Mr. Ballister's gone, I will mention to the group that one of us should probably check up on him when we get back to town.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. He must be in terrible shape.
Yes.
I believe Frenor is looking to see him, and he will be definitely the first to go have a conversation with the Malisters.
I mean, one of us specifically.
I think we've done all we can. If he wants to see us, then he will summon for us.
Well, I mean, more of like a friendly gesture as opposed to this is part of our job.
I'd give him some space for a few days.
Well, he just seems like a man that at this point is kind of at his wit's end, and I just want to make sure he's not going to do anything foolish.
I don't believe he's going to do anything foolish.
Then we should probably set off if we want to get back before it's dark.
Good idea.
Indeed.
Definitely.
And if Amos is still around, I'll make sure to give him
Amis.
things.
It's Amis.
Amis, all right. I
Not
misspelled
Amos.
that.
Amis. Yeah, Amees.
Does he actually live around these parts? I'm assuming he does.
He's still here, so you can ask him, and assuming you're asking him, he'll answer. And he'll say, yes, I live within Shadford itself. There's another couple of families who will every now and again contact me for my skills.
Would you like to join us on the ride back?
I have my horse, but I do not mind a little bit of company on the road back. So yeah.
You're more than welcome to join us.
Yeah, he does so. He finishes his ale, and he gulps it down with a certain degree of proficiency. You know, it's not like he's just like nursing it. It's like when he needs to drink it, it goes down pretty damn quick.
Kaboom!
Yeah. And yeah, you all make your way out.
Wizard with a Constitution score. Jesus, it exists.
Or maybe he's just got like massive proficiency score, and he's proficient in drinking. +6 proficiency at drinking. Expertise at drinking. You see, there you go.
Oh, he's got one of those like crazy skill stunt feats. Is that it? It's like
Master
specifically
drinker.
specifically for drinking ale.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll
or
take
something like that.
take that feat.
You'll take the feat that literally gives you the ability to consume liquids faster. Hey, that actually would be quite a cool feat, especially if it included potions. Because normally drinking a potion is an action. I'd reduce it to a bonus action because it's just I'm polite and kind.
Make it so you can drink 2 at once or something.
Or just simply make it so you've got a feat where, you know, it'll either you can double the amount you can drink or you can use it as a bonus or something like that. But it then gives you, you know, some sort of extra. You could come up with something weird for a feat. You could definitely do something.
Like you can, like maybe drink a potion as a free
Maybe
action.
you just need magical armor that's got an intravenous drip built in.
It's got canisters. It's like steampunk armor with canisters and
No,
pipes. And...
no.
So
what he
you can
needs
just
is basically
you
that
can just
helmet.
press a couple of buttons on your armor and it injects healing potions.
For fuck's sake.
No, he just needs like one of those beer helmets, but for potions
caps.
or beer. Yeah,
But
yeah,
the
yeah.
pipes,
You know the ones I'm talking about.
yeah.
Yep.
The right one has
Stupid
potions,
ones.
the left one has beer.
There you go.
Drink them at the same
Problem
time.
solved.
Yeah. One dulls the pain, one removes the injuries. Okay, so you guys get your cart. The boy seems to recognize you as you approach because he's clear you're now going to the cart, and he turns around and he promises he's looked after the cart and he's fed the horse, and then he holds his palm out.
A gold, guys. A gold.
Let's check the cart though.
Yeah, let's check the cart first.
As
first.
a couple of you are kind of like making, it's like, where is my coin purse? And like, literally, it's there on your belt, and you're just like, I don't know where it is. Other people check the cart. Yeah, everything seems to be exactly where it was. The canvas is still firmly attached. You undo it a bit and have a little look underneath. The couch is intact.
Are there child butt prints on our couch?
No, the arse grooves are exactly as they were from your own party.
Good.
I'll give the kid 10 gold.
Holy shit, man.
Holy
Get it.
smokes.
Take it out of the party loot. Come on, man. There's no need to murder yourself here.
I'll give him 10 gold because it's not my gold anyway.
Ha!
It was the gold that I wanted in the...
I got what you said the moment you said it's not my gold anyway. I'm like,
Yeah, I see that. I see that. Yeah.
So I give the kid 10 gold.
He's like, looks at these.
I'm rich.
And he bites them to make sure that they're actually gold, which, you know, they are.
And I scruff him on the hair, and I get up onto the cart.
He kind of like just skips, practically floats giddily back into the tavern. You're not
I'm
sure
going
what...
to buy 15 ales now, madam.
You're gonna be people come through this town in a few years' time, and they're gonna be like, "Why are all these children so rich?"
They got gold fucking jewelry and fucking their own posse of thugs.
We don't like your kind on the playground.
He spent
better skip rope somewhere else.
No, they spend 9 gold out of the 10 on learning how to do proper investments, and then the remaining 1 gold to make their fortune.
That's the trick.
You see, that is the trick. It's called, you gotta speculate to accumulate.
beer.
It's the Shadford Stock Exchange.
Oh my good God,
You know
people.
Becky's gonna be at the center of that.
Probably.
I don't think Becky has had much money as this kid has had off of us.
No, she hasn't.
Oh, that'll change.
Perhaps.
Oh, probably, yeah, because we'll probably
Is this
see
going to be a
Becky.
competition between you two? Who can give the most money to random children?
Yeah, my pauper's richer than your pauper. I mean, what the...
In the
No,
end,
you!
in the end, I'm the one who ends up with all the money. I mean, what?
What,
Pickpocketing
are they
children.
secretly giving them back to you or something?
My God. He'll run some kind of thieves guild with all the children stealing from people, pickpockets.
Are you
could make a
pulling
story.
Fagin on us,
Yeah, I
man?
think he is. That'd be a good name he could pick. It almost feels like that's from something. Well, it can't be. No one would ever come up with a story like that.
What a twist, am I right?
It is a bit of a twist. Oh dear.
I had a friend
It's
that was
possibly
called
It has
not a
more of
name
that.
that you'd really want to pick, given what
Of all
happens to
of
that
the
particular
twists you could
person
do.
in the end.
I think even if he'd
If
stooped
anybody's
that
read the
low.
book, anyway.
No. I think Quarter. If let's face it, if Orkon did stoop that low, he'd soon learn the error of his ways, and you'd have to extend an olive branch to him.
I was
Yes.
just gonna say that of all of the twists he could pull.
Oh, that's even better. All of the twists he could pull.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll accept that. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, you guys ride south, and the road's pretty easy going. It's bright, it's warm, as it normally is in the first week of the scythe. And yeah, you travel south, and Amis doesn't really talk a huge amount. You imagine he's got a lot on his mind, or his interests extend to other areas. But either way, every now and again, a little bit of minor conversation erupts, and you learn a couple more things about him. He originally grew up in Cragsholm. There is actually an academy there, not specifically a magical academy, but it is well known in the city for
You
learning.
took that elective.
It's not that elective.
Come on, wizard, just 1 credit.
Fuck's sake.
Hey, this one time at Bard Camp.
Oh my God. It is a place of learning. There are plenty of professors that teach there, other people that teach there. They don't do scribing things. A lot of these kinds of places, that not only do they teach, but they also do scribe, but they don't do any kind of copying of books or anything like that unless it's for their own use. So it's purely a place of learning. All sorts of subjects. A lot of it tends to be arcane stuff, but not always. But the people that run it, there's a group of them, they're all known to be wizards. But as I say, they're anyone who can pay to learn and respect their kind of tenants is pretty much welcome to learn there for a price and a minimum duration. They don't want any people to just sort of fly in for a few weeks and then leave. He moved out to Shadford because he kind of got a bit bored. He'd become educated, he'd become learned. He wasn't seeking adventure. He was just kind of bored of the city life, really, and he just wanted to get out a bit more, do a little bit more private work rather than work for the school, as it were.
I've been to
Academy.
Craigstown.
Yeah, you will have heard of the academy. You would have. It's just the academy. There isn't actually an official name for it. Some people call it the Wizards Academy. Normally, they get corrected very quickly that it is not a wizards academy, even though it's ran by wizards and there's lots of wizards getting taught there. Well, not lots, but a number of. But it is an academy for a lot of just subjects. They tend to be very academic, so there'll be geography and geologies and mathematics and even things like siege related things, tactics. So there's some military stuff in there. It's higher level stuff, so it's not like squad management. It is literally, if you want to learn tactics to move, your troops, an army, then there are things that you can learn there. But also engineering as far as siege goes, the construction and maintenance and use of ballistas and catapults and things like that also is there. They were also experimenting.
Officers and engineers, basically.
More or less, yeah. I mean, it's only one minor part of it, but And it's not the only place you can do for military training, but it's certainly as well respected as any other formal place of higher level military training.
Is this place associated at all with the Scholars Guild?
As what, in Shadford, you mean?
No. Reynard said he was associated with the Scholars Guild in Cragsholm.
You don't believe so? It doesn't sound like it.
Okay.
These guys
are they rivals?
You have no. Are you going to ask him?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to ask. Like, is there any relationship between them? Do they cooperate at all, or is it like they don't like each other or something?
He kind of like raises his eyebrows and smirks a little, and he explains that generally speaking, the academy is seen as a better place of learning. The school that he's talking about, the actual scholars that work there, are purely.
He would say that. He went there.
Yes, perhaps. They're more to do with accumulating knowledge and doing basic scribing. He's happy for those guys to do all the scribe work, to copy all the things, teaching kids how to read and write. He's happy for all of that to be going to those guys, because they can actually then focus on the serious stuff.
I was kind of hoping they would say, like, yeah, the one time they built a library, so we built 2. Then they stole our mascot, and so we burned down their library.
And they built a tower, so we had to build a bigger one.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that sort of relationship works.
They
I'm
moved.
just kind of curious.
They moved their tower onto a demi-plane, so we took over an entire plane.
We're currently at a bit of a loss because their new tower has a massive, giant gold snake statue on top of it. We don't know where they got that from.
It's pretty awesome, though.
It's really good because it's some kind of mystic focus of magical power. It creates a barrier that can defend them from interplanar attacks. It's ridiculously powerful. I mean, whoever helped them get that, they missed a trick there. That's worth unfathomable amounts of money.
and then as soon as we ever saw him again, Adrik would be like, "Smite the bastard!"
Hey, you were paid for your services. You know? You can't say fairer than that. You all accepted it. You immediately then went back and paid for the rest of your plate. Armor, your full plate. So, you can't say that you weren't rewarded.
Yeah. That's not going to stop me.
Fuck's sake. So, after he moved to Shadford, he took him a while originally to kind of become a familiar face amongst some of the higher circles. He didn't grow up in a noble family, although his family was plenty wealthy. They ran a lot of boarding houses in Cragsholm. There's a lot of people living there. They ran a lot of boarding homes, so his parents were well-to-do and gave him a good education, hence the reason why he was able to go to the academy. But yeah, he wasn't able to mix too well with the nobles because he wasn't a noble. And you can tell. If you're a noble, you can tell when someone's not a noble. It's just one of those things that he struggled with. Maybe you get the impression, although he doesn't say it. Although he doesn't say it specifically, you maybe get the inkling that it's possible that might be also part of the reason why he moved out of Cragsholm. Like, everybody there who he wanted to work for kind of knew he wasn't a noble, so he may have moved to Shadford. Who knows? But, he came here and he got to know the local families, and especially a merchant family like Malister's. They're not technically nobles. I mean, or they're literally not nobles, but they're also down to earth, started out as merchants in the family, and therefore he was able to get in there. A couple of other families, although he doesn't talk about the other families. And even if you kind of gently press him, he avoids mentioning who they are. Not because you get it sort of professional courtesy almost. He's currently working for the Malisters, so therefore that's the only family he's willing to talk about, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's basically about it that comes up in casual conversation, unless there were specific things you wanted to talk about.
Nothing immediately springs to mind, although, how long has he been working with the Malisters in the area?
He's been working for them about 15 years.
thing to consider in that case is, like, does he know anything about this wacky-ass mine situation?
He's heard the odd person mention about the mines, but he's not really been particularly interested in it himself. That kind of work has never been the sort of thing he's interested in. He has heard that there was an old mine, but that's way before his time. He don't know anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
He is only human after all.
Yep. And most people around Shadford are, so...
I reckon I'm older than this dude.
How old are you?
60 something or another.
Yeah, you are older than this dude. This dude's middle-aged. I mean, he's like 40 to 50, I suppose. I mean, it's a good age for this day and age, if you know what I mean. But, you know, he's fairly wealthy, and obviously he's well-to-do, and he's had a good upbringing, strong bones, or blah, 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 whatever.
I was 67 this year.
You have a good year in a couple of years, aren't you?
Mm.
You don't want to smile at it. You don't want to smile at such a terrible, terrible reference. Cliched as fuck. But you did anyway. I appreciate it. So, any other questions you want to throw toward Anis?
Yeah, if we ever have any magical items, is there any place we could find you that you'd be willing to, you know, provide your services onto us?
As part of the agreement he has with the families, unless you have him on retainer, then no. It's an interesting...
No, this is specifically for us.
He knows that the Pantheon, there's a gentleman there whose name he can't quite recall. He does identifications, although he's heard from other people that it's like, yeah, they literally are just getting funds for the church, so don't expect a good deal. He's aware that there is in town it's more like... it's in the merchant area, but the wizard there tends to take an apprentice and keep much to himself. He doesn't really go out anywhere. He hasn't heard of him offering services, but it's the only other sort of independent, openly wizarding person that he knows about in Shadford. He's certain that there are others, but he doesn't really know of any that offer services. So
you wouldn't be willing to assist us?
He wouldn't be able to do it unless you paid him a retainer, because that's part of the agreement that he has with the families, that unless someone's paying him a retainer, he doesn't do odd jobs on the side.
How much would your retainer be?
Well, he'd have to double check to see how much time he can actually spare, because if it's going to be large amounts like you've just dropped off now, when's the next time you're likely to need his services again? Because the whole point of a retainer is that he makes himself available for a minimum period of time per week. So you'd have to be able to say how many hours per week would he need to keep himself free and available for identification services, for scrying services, for scroll writing. And he starts listing a few of the other things that he does. Obviously, materials are always extra anyway, and he only uses his own materials.
Scroll writing, you say?
Yeah, he nods and he says that he writes a few scrolls, different spells. He's not the most skilled, but he normally deals with items of interest.
How much would it be for an hour a week?
It's a bit of a low number. He normally wouldn't go for such a low hour.
But it's for us.
I don't think you understand, Adrik. He's looking for a reasonable, payment for a reasonable amount of time. And just being us is not going to be enough. He doesn't know us very well, even on top, other than our working relationship so far.
What about 8 hours one day a week?
8 hours per week.
Yep.
I will get back to you with some prices. Yeah, like I'm going to fucking automatically know how many it's going to cost for you to retain a fucking wizard. I have no problem coming up with a value, but, you know.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Because ultimately, you're effectively then getting X number of hours per week of a wizard's time to do potentially relatively mundane stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not going to be cheap, but it's also pretty flexible. And I then need to put down the list of exactly what he's available to do. But yes, he asks where you're staying and where he can contact you at.
Yeah. Temple of Palo.
The Lamp of Lonestone's also a great place to find us most of the time. We're usually hanging about somewhere near there.
He says he'll send the message to the temple. You get the impression he likes the idea that it's a larger establishment that's not necessarily directly booze related.
So, could you identify this mug of beer for me? I'm not sure. It's really screwing me up, but I really like it. So.
The other 7 were not magical. This one is also not magical. And then he goes to leave, and he's like, hey! Still got you for 20 more minutes. Watch me drink. Glug, 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 glug.
Was that one magical?
He would have to
I made it disappear!
Well, technically, it depends on the terms. As far as whether he's on call out or whether it's a case of you request things and it comes back to you in a week after spending an X number of hours on something, again, that's all part of the pricing as well. Whether you could turn around and go, we need you tomorrow for 4 hours to come along with us to do things, that would be obviously a lot more expensive than, could you spend 4 hours writing some scrolls for us? And he'll say, okay, I'll get back to you in 7 days with the scrolls. That would then obviously be cheaper, minus obviously the expense of the writing materials, etc. So yeah, I will come up with information, or rather, I will let you know when Amis sends you some information.
Very well.
Oh.
Hey, Foxxy,
Mm-hmm.
Foxxy,
Mm-hmm.
useful NPC.
Mm-hmm.
Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so.
I know. He's actually amiable.
He is, more so than I expect.
So, I need to write up retainer, stroke, services, stroke, prices, stroke, fucking availability, stroke, doesn't go into dangerous places. Because that's one thing he does stress. He's not a go off and accompany you on adventures kind of thing. He's very much he'll do the, services in the safety of civilized places.
Now, what if civilization collapses?
Well, then he's fucked. And he's probably perfectly well capable of dealing with things. He's going to have prestidigitation and things like that, so he's probably fine.
Excellent. I mean, no, I'm not planning the downfall of civilization. No, not at all.
No, that would be madness.
What? You two? Man!
You've been working separately.
Collaborate on this stuff.
Yeah.
Collaborate on this stuff.
Get more done if you work together, people. Fucking hell.
It's true.
Our mistake.
So, anything else you guys want to do before you arrive in Shadford? I'll take that as a no.
I will tell a story at some point.
Oh shit.
It sucks.
A media, yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, Orkon's not. He's not got the most palatable of storytelling skill.
Is this the story of the adventurers who went into the wizard's tower, blew up a couple skulls, and killed some wyverns? Because I think I've heard that one, Orkon.
No, this is a story of a guy named Brady, and he was raising these 3 kids of his own, 3 sons specifically. And then one day he met this lady who had 3 daughters of her own. And then they got hitched. They formed a family, and they hired a housekeeper, and then they went on adventures. The end.
All right.
Did they occasionally eat breakfast?
Yes.
Around the time of lunch?
Oh shit.
Sometimes.
Weirdos.
I mean, hey, I wouldn't object to a Brady brunch here and there, but hey.
I wasn't sure if you were going to swing through the end there, so.
Yeah. I figured you might as well follow through, right?
Okay, guys, so it's starting to get a little bit darker. The sun's still there, but it's getting low in the sky. Uncharacteristically, bit of cloud in the sky today. Normally it's been pretty damn clear and sunny, but it's actually
Well, it is the month of the Scythe.
It is. But it's still pretty damn warm. And the cloud is sparse. It's kind of like that wispy cloud that there's never a fully clear bit of the sky, but it's so wispy that the sun, you can still see it.
Cirrostratus, that sort of deal.
I have no idea. Yes, exactly that.
Are you not up on your
how
cloud
we've now
knowledge?
got 2 candles that won't go out?
Yep.
Well, they will go out if you physically attempt to snuff them.
If we snuff them, yeah.
But yes,
maybe we should get coverings for them and just mount them on the front of the car, one on each side.
I mean, I'm keeping my candle. It's pretty valuable to me.
If you want that, Daniel, you can grab me at some point over the next couple of days, and I will create 2 candles for you that can do that.
I'll tell you what, then we can even change their color. Check it out.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why not. I will accept that, although they are magical flames, what you're doing isn't really any kind of disruption to them. It's not like giving extra benefit. It's not like daylight lightness, so it's not like it can be used for anything. So yeah, that seems reasonable. Oh god. Has it done it again? Has it done it again? Seriously? Right. It bloody has.
Connected. Channel switched.
I mean, seriously, what the fuck is wrong with my my shit today?
That's a very good question.
So we've decided to put headlights on the cart, and also to take over the town. It's pretty sweet.
Well, cool. Okay, let me know how that goes. Oh shit! No, I have to decide how that goes. You fail. You're all dead.
Oh man. Well, we were trying to do it through a convoluted land deal, but I guess if they figure that out too, that works.
Yeah, they assassinate you.
Yeah, right. I could do all 4 corners of the cart if you came to me tomorrow.
That's awesome. I like continual flame. It's good.
Yeah, and the thing is,
they
wouldn't go out in the rain either. It has
you
to
have
be
to
like
snuff
proper.
them. You have to go and physically snuff them.
We can get a covering made for them so that they don't get accidentally have something dropped on them.
Yeah.
Well, what if something drops onto the covering and it particularly forcefully obstructs the candle's flame?
I was thinking that we could get
snuff.
something, made out of metal, just
okay.
a sort of cage-like thing.
Put it like this. The flames do not need oxygen. They don't produce heat. So you can completely encase them in glass, or well, not. I mean, that'd be very expensive.
Glass breaks, and it's not going to get blown out by the wind.
My point
we can make the sort of lantern that would have glass and just not put the glass.
Exactly. You can make something a very sturdy shell all the way around it that provides no airflow and it to protect it massively, and it will be absolutely fine. So I mean, it's not difficult to do so. You can make a wood structure around them. It's not like it's going to catch fire. So yeah, there's plenty of options that you can easily achieve with what you have. So yeah, you arrive in Shadford, and the clouds are doing their thing of making the not quite so bright, but it's still plenty warm. And Amis, he waves to you, says goodbye, thanks for the company, and he'll be in touch with some ideas. And he confirms you're thinking about 8 hours per week on a retainer.
Yeah, about 8 hours-ish.
He nods and he says he'll include some other options as well.
Cool.
You kind of get the impression that was a subtle way of yeah, it might be a little bit rich for you, but we'll.
I just dropped 10 gold on a fucking child.
He didn't seem to care about Blink. It's like, but yeah, he's cool with that. So, what are you guys going to do? You've arrived back in Shadford. It is starting to get a little bit later, but there's a few places still open. They're pretty much open while the sun's up, and even beyond the sun going behind the mountains, that places tend to stay open a little bit. So, was there anything that you wanted to do?
Well, I tell you what, I'd be happy to meet people at, let's say, just after supper time at the Lamp and Lodestone. I've got some things I need to do.
Okay. I have a question for people. Is there anything on our agenda?
The mines?
I honestly want to get something done before I take on the mines, but is there anything
I was going
apart from the
to
mines?
have a wander around town tomorrow and try and find somebody who might be able to whip up some plate armor in a reasonable amount of time.
Whip up plate armor. I mean, it can be done. If they've already made it, they can made it for a human. They can make adjustments. It'll take days to make the adjustments, but they can do it.
But that's what I'm saying is I am going to create my own plate armor.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but I figure you're probably going to be a while about
that. Only about a week and a half at most. Like 10 days.
I mean, you can have.
That's not that bad.
It depends how much we keep getting interrupted.
That's what I'm saying is, do we have anything on our agenda? Because for the next 10 days, I will work and do my clerical stuff and create my armor.
Sweet. That gives me time to do stuff that's useful.
Is there any objections?
I don't think we have anything urgent that needs doing.
Yeah.
You don't?
Well, that isn't, our own separate thing, this, that, or the other. Is there any objections to a 10-day time skip?
No objections, provided we get to, do little one-off sessions with Melda to make sure that that's the thing.
What I'll do is, because I know Callie will want to do some. I expect that all of you will probably want to do something specific during that time. And go on.
Nothing.
Well,
I want to do
obviously
nothing.
you want to just make some fucking finish your plate armor, your full plate, which is fair enough. You're fully paid up.
Yep.
So as far as I'm concerned, it is just a case of putting the work in.
Yeah, technically I have to do 14 days, but with the money that I would get off of spending a day working at the thing and then spending the after hours creating my armor anyway, he would be able to help me with me just paying it straight off. Takes about 4 days off of it is what I calculated.
Okay, well let me have a little look at that. A character can complete multiple items. How many work weeks created? Divide the gold piece by 50. Okay, that's work weeks. Divide the cost by 50. That's what it says in Xanathar's.
Yeah. It should take me 2 weeks.
Pretty sure that's not. I don't know where you got the whole 2 weeks from. Divide the gold piece cost by 50.
Xanathar's might have changed it, but it's in the DM's guide that it was meant to be.
What page is that? What's that page is that? Let's have a little look.
I don't know. I'd have to go look. Go have a look.
Because crafting items is like. You find that now.
I actually think that crafting items in the D&D takes way longer than it should.
I think full plate, it's reasonable, but it's going to take a while. But yeah, okay, whatever.
Cool. So in that case, we got 10 days of doing stuff. That's pretty useful.
We definitely have a number of days doing stuff. And I would agree, dividing it by 50 is probably not right for like a big piece. So we can work that out. Question is, guys, I suppose we should ask what obviously we know what Adrik's doing. He's gonna get his full plate armor. Tyanir, you said that you were gonna go around and see if you can find someone that's maybe got one that's a little bit close to completion that you can just pay for, get it fitted, and be done with it. Yeah.
Yep.
So it'll be the standard.
Or find somebody who's got an old set that they don't mind parting with that can be modified and sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okie dokie. So if you want to try and buy an item, then I think an investigation roll is in order. If you're going to try and explore the town,
would Arvin have one?
Arvin, no. You know for a fact that which is part of the reason why you're making one for fresh, because otherwise he would have probably suggested it. Even the town guard don't use full plate. What about you talking about even? Oh dear, might take you bit of time. Okay. We'll double check things, but yes, as far as find that information, Foxxy, and then I will.
Yeah, I'm looking.
I will grab it. So you're looking around for some full plate, Tyanir. What are you planning on doing, Orkon?
Well, I think the day after we get back, I would like to check in with Mr. Malister, make sure he's doing at least reasonably okay in the circumstances. Yeah. And but other than that, I think I will probably be getting up to mischief.
Oh. Do
Yes.
you aim to misbehave?
Mischief, you say?
Yes. I will aim to misbehave.
Okay, if you want to send me a little private message, because we might as well keep a little bit of mystery behind that kind of thing. Obviously, everyone knows you're a rogue, and you're probably going to try and con someone. Maybe give it a bit of a... It's a fair assumption, since everybody kind of knows what you're like.
Becky's off limits.
Don't worry.
Becky is off limits.
I would never do something cruel to Becky.
Good.
So, Adrik, finish armor. We have Orkon, mischief. We have Daniel, who is buy armor because you know he's not cheap. And Callie, are you going to do your own set of? Everyone kind of knows, but we might as well just do it off the books anyway.
Yep.
Because there is something that's going to have happened for you anyway.
Congregation in my town? It's more likely than you think.
Well, I mean, I think it's very likely. So, I mean, it's probably as likely as I think.
It's quite possible, yes.
Yeah.
I'm certainly going to work for it.
I have no idea what Niacin's going to be doing, but we'll figure it out, I'm sure.
Vision quest. Vision quest. Vision quest. He's gonna drink the wrong cup of tea one morning and
I know what I'm gonna do.
You're with the land of the bears now.
I think I know what I'm gonna do for Niacin's personal plot things. My brain's just had an idea. See what Wiz says. Because I want to always make it so that it's at least vaguely kind of into what people are into, but you know. Okay, right. You found that page yet?
No. I'm trying to look in the index.
You say it was a number of work weeks equal to the cost divided by 50.
Yes, but that's a huge amount of time, which is a lot less than what we thought. What Adrik thought it was, what Foxxy thought it was. I couldn't.
But I think
really
that
remember.
is genuinely what it is for D&D. This is why I'm saying the actual official rules in D&D for crafting times are monstrous.
They are. Trust.
It says it's 4 weeks for someone to create you full plate armor, and it's 1,500 gold. And the book says it's half that in time and money. So it's 750 in 2 weeks.
Where's that? Just give me the page so I can just read that.
That's what it states in the player's handbook. It's 50.
Okay, let me have a little look. Which
working
page are we
weeks
talking?
and the cost is 50% of what it would be in the player's handbook.
Oh, are we talking about under armor type in the purchasey bit?
Yeah, that's what it says there. It says their full plate armor is a month and 1,500 gold.
Okay.
And that's maybe where it's come from, and it's maybe not in the Dungeons Master's Guide, because I am trying to read through the Dungeons Master's Index to see, because I don't quite know what I'm looking for, because crafting an item isn't there. I'm now trying to look to see if downtime activity is there.
So what page in the players are you reading?
Player's Handbook.
Which page in the player's handbook are you reading?
It's under the armor one.
All it's got here is describing what it is. It doesn't say anything about times. I don't see the times. Apologies, but I just don't see the times.
Okay.
I'm not seeing that either.
Yeah, it's not me being crazy. It's me not seeing the times because the times aren't here in the armor section where all the prices are. Yeah, what were you just reading? You were literally just reading something. What page were you reading?
No, I wasn't reading that. I was recalling that.
Oh, right, okay.
That's
what I need. I need you to give me a page.
Okay.
I can't...
Okay.
I'm just going to have to...
Yeah.
I'm writing out a little bit of a what's up with what I'm planning.
Summary with what you want to do. Yes. That's cool.
Good call. Good call.
I'll be sending it to you in a note here. Or a personal message.
Yes. I mean, I have a couple of things to do that I need to do anyway, which are nothing to do with the session. So it's not like you need to find that page right now, because that break that you're going to have while
no,
we're working
I'm trying to find it right now for you, because
I'd prefer it, but
if
you don't have
otherwise, I will spend the full time and not do anything until it's complete.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, it's not a big deal for you as players. It's not going to be any detriment for you to spend, 2 months downtime, because by the time we have our next session,
something comes
well,
of course, that we want to deal with.
Assuming that nothing came up, 2 months downtime for your characters will pass in exactly the same amount of time as a 1-day downtime. Because the next session is going to be in 2 weeks. So we've then got 2 weeks to do any privatey stuff that I need to do with individuals for their shenanigans. We'd also talk to Niacin and see what he's doing. So what I would do, in fairness, was there anything else other than the dime time that people wanted to do?
I mean, that's
the things during the downtime other than the armor, but I'll message you about that later.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I don't mind doing a few private sessions or just simply saying, yes, you find this, or no, you don't find this.
We already covered the journal stuff I wanted to look into. I do want to, maybe a week later, revisit to Mr. Mallister there. But I'm not quite certain what I want to say yet.
Have a think about that. Yeah, get your wording and whatever.
Yeah, Daniel's going to finish reading this book.
Yeah. I would say that you pretty much from that book learn more or less everything you would get kind of flavor text-wise from the sorcery section of the Player's Handbook. But you do also learn that wherever the blood, because it implies it in the Player's Handbook, but I'm stating it, is that there is literally a dragon ancestor somewhere in your lineage. Somewhere in there. And we're talking direct. Somewhere up, if you keep going back, maybe it's a fucking 50 generations. There's a dragon somewhere. And also, it suggests that there is a certain link, a connection between those who have expressed the blood, meaning anyone who has shown any aspects of the dragon. So basically, the scales, the magic, etc. Any of those who have done so share a certain connection.
Okay, I can't find it. I read it somewhere, and I will reread the books between now and
you've got
2 weeks' time.
Yeah, you've got plenty of time to do this.
To see if I can find it again, but it was definitely something I read, and I will endeavour to find it again for you.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll sort something out. But like I say, unless I throw shit at you guys, then
honestly,
there's no harm.
Depending on what you throw at them, Adrik might not even join.
I haven't got anything specific but there'll be little minor things, no doubt. I don't want your guys to just be like fucking 3 months without anything. Your characters will get, but I feel sorry for your characters, And there's obviously cost if you guys aren't working, but I suspect that you're all going to be working and earning money in some fashion, except maybe Adrik, but he can probably pay for it. And well, let's face it, actually, Adrik's the one person that has the least fucking expenses.
Yeah, Adrik,
Callie has the highest expenses.
Adrik lives for free.
Even then,
he eats for free.
Pretty chill.
Yeah.
And Adrik makes a living, actually. Adrik makes a living, he eats for free, and lives for free.
Yeah. So I don't think, I'm not particularly worried about any of your characters in that sense, but they are going to get bored, potentially. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
I can promise you, my character may become many things, but bored is not one of them.
I definitely need to speak to you, Quarter, at some point to do with Callie related things. I definitely do need to speak to you, Daniel, about stuff, more goings on during the next X amount of time. Adrik's doing his arm. I don't think I need to specifically talk to you about anything, but something may crop up.
Oh, one last thing.
Oh shit.
As a quick sort of commemoration of our defeating that tower and those horrible birds up there, who wants an omelet?
Who wants an omelet? Wow. What are you guys doing with that egg?
We never decided, and I'm putting my foot down here.
You put your foot down.
It's
you
not
want
a big foot.
On the
It's
egg.
not a big foot.
You'd struggle to break it with a foot, to be honest, especially
it
you.
also might be fertilized, so it might not be very good for an omelet.
Well, we discussed that, and I'm perfectly willing to make some kind of delicacy out of it if everybody else is willing to experiment here. How often do we get to try this, guys?
I don't know. I still like to raise it up and make a friend who can kill our enemies.
The only person here who has wild empathy doesn't ever bathe.
Actually, speaking of which, the druid probably wouldn't let you kill a youngling.
Are we honestly bringing up the question of abortion?
It's not actually.
Of all places?
Bear in mind, it's technically not a beast; it's a monstrosity. So it's not a. It is a natural creature, sort of, but it's not at one with nature. Wyverns are known for just eating everything in an area and then just moving on. So they're not devastating.
Like angry, venomous, carnivorous, winged goats.
I mean, I wouldn't quite have used the exact phrase, but I mean, sure, why not? So they're not necessarily, it's not harming nature, killing a fucking unborn. And plus, if you're not going to raise it, then killing it's probably the nicest thing you can do for it. So I'm going to use my...
Remember the last time I offered to kill somebody, and then the party decided to torture them instead?
Well, I'm gonna sort of give it a sort of executive thing in Wizard's absence. I'm gonna say that if you did decide to kill it and eat it, or just simply kill it, or raise it, I would say that he's not necessarily going to have an opinion one way or the other at this moment, although he can have an opinion later. Obviously, because he may genuinely have an opinion. So,
have
guys...
an opinion later when he's here.
Yeah, when he's actually fucking here. Because if he's not here, he doesn't get an opinion. So, guys, I want you guys to make a decision on what you're going to do with this egg. I would suggest... I am going to tell you that since you've probably been moving it around, you will have at some point felt it move slightly.
Okay, we gotta kill it.
So you get the impression it probably is fertilized. Plus, they were fucking nesting
If we're making that decision, then, Halberd can come down on that pretty quickly.
Cool. I'll cook up the remains. Let's do it in an iron pot first.
Oh, Adrik, what's your input on this?
No, I don't feel right about killing an animal that...
Better hurry up, the halberd's in the downswing.
Well, then you don't have to
I will
watch,
stand
Adrik.
Between you and the halberd.
Adrik, say your piece, come on.
Yeah, I honestly don't feel right killing a creature that isn't born yet, that you don't know with training become more of a help than a hindrance.
You saw what its parents were like.
Yeah, do you have any experience training wyverns?
No, but
I don't doubt that there's the possibility that maybe we could find someone who could raise this thing into a productive member of society. I don't think any of us have the time or inclination, and I'm hungry.
I have time and inclination. Take the egg.
Time? Inclination? Maybe. Trading? No. Takes it back.
I'll find someone. Takes the egg.
Fuck's sake, guys. Don't worry, you won't be on the birth certificate, Callie.
Is this the hill that you choose to die on?
Oh,
Callie, I'm also questioning, is this the hill you're choosing to die on? I know food is important, but come on.
It seems like a loose end that I'd rather tie up. We've already let one dragon get away.
Well, if we ever run into that dragon again, then we have this other one with us. We can have them become friends.
A dragon.
How about a compromise, guys, and you can each have half.
I'm game.
Rude. Isn't this a story where it's like two women fighting over the baby, then divide the baby in half and have them eat it to determine who loves it the most, kind of thing? Okay. Question is, guys, ultimately Adrik seems pretty certain that he wants to deal with this, and if nobody's going to help him, he's going to go on it on his own. Are you guys literally going to fight it out of his hands? I mean, what? What's people's thoughts? Oh God, no, not again! Seriously, what is wrong with this today?
Connected. Channel switch.
Sorry, guys. What the fuck is going on?
I have no idea.
So anyway, I was literally saying, okay, have you guys come to a conclusion yet?
Yes, kind of. I guess I'll just give Adrik the egg because he thinks he can find some magical person to raise it. Good luck.
I can't believe you actually want to hatch that horrible thing.
Well, there's also a wizard. Amis was talking about a wizard, right? Maybe we could sell it to them.
We could sell it to them. You know what? You make a good point.
Quick, to the wizard tower.
You've no idea where he lives.
Yeah, that's the problem. We don't know anything about where they live.
We could find out.
I tell you what, Adrik, if you could put out I tell you what, here's our compromise, okay? I'm laying a compromise on the table. I won't eat the egg and nor will anybody else, but instead of us keeping and raising it, you take it back to the Temple of Pelor and send out a message for those of an arcane inclination who are interested in a wyvern's egg that is fertilized, and we sell it off that way.
Yep. That's what I was going to do anyway.
Okay.
Got a plan. All right, let's enact it.
Okay, so
That'll be Fëanor's job.
Okay, so
as long as it just doesn't hatch anywhere near us, we're cool.
No, the bird is its parents.
I'm pretty certain a baby wyvern I could sneeze on and it would die.
It's the egg will probably, because you know how tight chicks are in their egg. They're pretty fucking tight. There's not much space in there when they finally hatch. So assuming that the wyvern hatches in a similar way, it's probably going to be about the size of a big chicken when it comes out, and probably more helpless.
I could sneeze on it and it would die. If I persisted to if I had the issue of it was gonna hatch on me, and I felt it was dangerous to anybody else, I would sneeze on it and it would die.
I mean, that's assuming that it's anything like chickens and birds in general when they hatch, being useless and helpless and requiring feeding by their parents, etc., etc., until they eventually learn to fly. And even then, they're kind of helpless. That's what you know about birds approximately. If it's anything like that, then yeah.
Even if it's not anything like that, I could sneeze on it and it would...
Yeah, it's tiny. I mean, you guys fought it pretty well. Solo, it would have killed any of you probably, but yeah, a baby one, yeah, neither of you would... None of you would have any problems killing a baby one, you imagine. Unless they're raising an egg of something else, and out of it comes a fully formed Teresk, obviously. It's like some sort of TARDIS egg.
A tiny egg like that, I'd be fucking surprised.
You come out with
No. It just hatches out of the egg, and then the moment it finally shakes off all the fluid and eggshell and everything like that, it just grows 20 times its size.
No, it steps out of the egg and fluidly just is a full-size Teras somehow.
Yep.
Like something coming out of a bag of holding. Yeah, an egg of holding.
At that point, I'd be like, well, this is obviously a sign of Paylor. He wants this place dead. I'm going to leave.
Yeah. So, okay, you're going to give this to Frenor to try and put out the alert that someone who wants to... What's your exact wording, Adrik, that you're going to tell Frenor?
My exact wording is, this is a wyvern egg, to my knowledge. It has a fertilized wyvern in it, and it's growing as we speak. There must be someone in town that either want to study a creature like this, or raise it and make it a beast of burden.
Oh my god, yeah. A wyvern of burden. That's a great idea.
You can imagine it ploughing the fields.
Downsides whatsoever.
Okay.
Ploughing the fields. It'd be hilarious.
Well, I don't know how infrequent wyvern flyers are in your world.
None of you have ever heard of anyone flying a wyvern. In fact, you know of dragons. This thing looks like a dragon, although you remember the other blue dragon being, coloured and had more limbs, but it's a dragony type thing. So it's you wouldn't have even you would have known the word wyvern to describe this creature. So you'd know what it is. Anything about it? I mean, you're just associating it with the bird physiology because it flies and it's got hard-shelled eggs.
It's a very, very stupid dragon that's missing 2 limbs.
It's kind of halfway between a fucking chicken and a dragon or something. I don't fucking know. Whatever.
It's a Skyrim dragon.
It's a Skyrim dragon. Fewer breath weapons, more stingy tails. Frenor has no fucking clue. He's like...
Adrik, what did you drop on my lap this time?
Yeah, but sort of. I mean, you could just imagine that he has the same look on his face as Paylor does when you're fucking guidance every 5 fucking seconds. It's kind of like, what now? I mean, this is like, why? Why
do this?
He'll accept it. He wants to try and help. He's that kind of guy. He knows a lot of people, but...
If there is anyone in town, then sure.
He asks if it needs to be kept warm.
I would return to the druid. The druid has more of a chance of knowing.
What I would suggest is you probably noticed the wyverns were cold-blooded anyway. And that the nesting process was probably more of protection than warmth.
Probably the druid noticed that more than
the druid. I would argue that Niacin probably noticed that, yes.
Okay. Returning to Frenor. No, it does not need to be kept warm.
Lols.
And if it does burst out and starts attacking people and killing and attempting to kill people and eat them, I will not hesitate to sneeze on it. But until that happens, if there is someone within town that would have any interest in raising such a creature and learning from it, then I would like you to be able to seek them out and see if we have heard that there is a wizard in town that apparently takes an apprentice. It might be up his street.
Frenor hasn't heard...
Has Orkon ever considered making an alternate persona that wants to buy wyvern eggs?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to suggest.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Anybody here with a disguise kit?
For fuck's sake.
Hello, my name is...
Conork.
Actually, yes, that's right.
With the caveat of, if they do want to buy said egg, I will be there to have a conversation with them.
Can I just point out that Orkon's an assassin? I think he gets a class feature that you won't be found it very easy to get around.
Inside checks on a booth.
Anyway, the point is, guys, Frenor will accept it, and he will shrug and see if he can do the best he can. No promises. He hasn't heard of another wizard in town with an apprentice, but...
Also, Frenor, by the way, Malister is back. He's pretty distraught because we couldn't help his kids. His kids are probably they are definitely dead, and there is no way to raise them. We had a look.
Frenor he furrows his eyebrows. Frenel furrows his eyebrows and he.
Frenel is completely ignorant of this.
He says. He says that he thought that although it's still fairly recently, his kids were dead and buried, as far as he was aware.
Unfortunately not. We have recently found out that he was actually using some type of gentle repose, and he was using all of his efforts to attempt to find a way to raise them.
Frenel takes a seat and sighs.
Yeah.
He then carries on, and he's.
But he's now back in time.
While he doesn't, he's not aware of anyone in town who has the power to bring back the living to how they once were. I think was perhaps the best way that it can be phrased. Unless that can be done pretty much immediately. Malister knows full well what the laws state. And this is a fairly... It's not a critical offence, but it's a middle of the field, you know what I mean? Stealing bread from a market stall, murdering your parents. It's somewhere in the middle, as far as the town is concerned.
It's a 5 into 0 on a transgressometer, then?
Yeah, something like that. It's like, you know...
But Adrik will say, like, Adrik was ensured that they were gentle reposed. And no harm of the bodies would come to causing anyone else harm. But I believe that, yes, now that there is definite no way of them being raised, they should be buried and given their proper rights.
Do you have any idea where they are?
I know that he has them somewhere. I don't know where. He's obviously kept them close by, but he was informed by me that if such of item was found, that they were attempted to be raised, I would be there, and I would have told you, of course, upon our return to Shadford, and I would have brought you and probably Britty Tech along as well. And if any of undead were to be created off of such a ritual, we would have destroyed them. And this was made very clear to him. And if no item was to be found, then they were to be buried.
Frenel, he says that at the moment there's probably no need to inform Braytak because he knows exactly what Braytak's response would be. Braytak's response would be go to Granthack. No. His response would be very much a get Granthack, get 4 guards, go up there, not let anything get in the way of ensuring that these are dealt with properly. However, if what you're saying is true, it sounds like he was taking precautions and didn't want anything bad and evil happening. So, since the Malisters are known to be followers of Paylor, he will go there himself with a couple of acolytes.
I'm more than happy to join if you would like me to.
That would be appreciated.
Yep. And I will come along as well. I'll just see it as one of my Paylor duties. And like the guards, nothing would stop me between getting me to the bodies to make sure that they are definitely dead.
Yes, and yeah.
Even if Malister stood in front of me, he would just become an object in my path. But
okay,
yes.
Is this pretty much... And as far as Frenel's concerned, he's going now.
Oh.
I mean, yep. Okay, well, this is... Okay, I'm assuming that this conversation will happen the next day after you get back.
No. This conversation happens as soon as I return.
Cool, so it's approaching evening, because it's pretty much evening. Okay, cool, so you're heading up there in the evening.
Okay. I will don my Warhammer and shield.
Okay. So Frenel gets a couple of his acolytes to get their official robes on, to bring some incense, to bring... You're gathering it's a few other bits and bobs to do ceremonies. He does say that he has actually seen that a ceremony has taken place on the Malister's ground. They actually have their own small little crypt. Well, call it a crypt, but yeah, on the grounds, and they have their own priest that they do with various...
Some kind of mausoleum, eh?
Yeah, some sort of thing like that, yes. So he was under the impression that everything had already been done. Certainly something was done, so who knows.
Thank you, Adrik, for spilling the entire subplot that none of our previous NPCs knew about.
The funny thing is you
Adrik
thought
the
that...
insensitive.
No, Adrik is not insensitive, but this is the leader of the Church of Pelor.
And Adrik the snitch.
Adrik the blabbermouth.
You
Acquire thy stick, good man.
you can call it whatever you wish. Adrik just sees it as his report to Frenor.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I'm just pointing out, Adrik can see it however he likes, but it does not necessarily means that the rest of the party will see it like that.
It is one of Adrik's things. It's
one of my flaws.
Oh. But
I put too much trust in those who wield power within my temple's hierarchy. One of my flaws.
So
Frenor is up there, so I would not but hesitate to tell him every probably Sunday morning. I probably sit down with Frenor and tell him everything that happened from Monday to Sunday. That probably happens every week, without hesitation, full recall. Everything that I saw.
I will. There's not much really that you need to do, Adrik. So I am going to kind of summarize the events, unless you want to interject.
Okay.
It takes not more than 15 minutes or so for Frenor and a couple of the acolytes to get robed up, to get a few supplies together, for him to explain the situation to them. He's quite tactful. He doesn't necessarily mention to them that there's any wrongdoing happening, other than the fact that there just needs to be a ceremony taking place. And the four of you set out. You head out.
I won't say a word to the acolytes about anything. There's a difference between acolytes and Frenor.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You head off to the richer district, away from the merchant district to the south. So you head south, you go to the rich district, you go through a few streets that you're not familiar with. The guards let you pass. They see Frenor, they immediately just let you pass. They don't necessarily block people anyway, but it's a case of that they tend to sort of stand there to keep out obvious riffraff. They don't even blink for you guys, they just let you through.
That'd be a fun conversation. We're not letting you in.
To be honest, you doubt that Adrik would be stopped, because not just because he's a follower of Pelor and blah 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 or armed, but because he doesn't look like a beggar or riffraff. It's not to stop regular people getting in and out. It's to stop scum getting in. That's pretty much what it is. So they're probably paid.
Scum, they say. So in other words, anyone wearing common clothes?
I would say, actually, since you guys are well-fed, you're skilled, you're strong and healthy, and I bet you all but Niacin might not get in. He might be the only person getting blocked from getting in, to be fair.
I mean, he does stink to high heaven.
Yeah, but he could just turn into a dog and wander in.
Depending on the type of dog, that might not get let in either. But either way, so you get past the sort of, not the perimeter guards, but you know what I mean, the outer area as you transition from the merchant area to the rich district. You approach the house that you are familiar with, because you've taken a slightly different route, and it is the Malister's house. The Malister's manservant that you've seen before, who answers the door, seems a little surprised, a little bit shocked to see Frenor there and the acolytes and you, although he does seem to recognize yourself and Frenor. Frenor explains that there's official duties that need to be done, and he quotes some kind of city law. And there's a call from inside the house. Malister comes to the door. He's looking a bit smarter now. He's had a change of clothes. He's still, he's looking a bit fresher. He's still clearly a bit tired, but he kind of nods solemnly. He doesn't really say very much. But he explains that he's actually got a warehouse at the docks that's being guarded. And that's where they're being kept, not within the property. It
would have been funny if he came out wearing a black robe with a dribbly candle in the skull.
And started casting fucking vampiric touch on people. Yeah, that would be amusing.
You will not stop!
And then two zombies fucking just jump out the windows onto you, and it's
but the rest
fucking
of us just learn a few days later that Adrik and Frenor and a couple of acolytes of Pelor went to the Malister's house and haven't come out.
Never came back. In fact, no, they came back.
A zombified Adrik walks out and does the Thriller dance. That's how that ends.
Anyway, it's not a very long walk.
Malster is joining us.
Yeah. Oh, he's
good.
He's not really getting any choice here. He made his excuse. His wife looks a bit puzzled. You see her at the door briefly, and he whispers something to her, and she looks a bit puzzled, but kind of accepts that Reynold has to go with these guys. You travel.
I will say to the lady of the house, don't worry, he shall be safe. I will make sure no harm comes to him.
She doesn't seem especially reassured, but she doesn't seem especially worried either, just a little bit confused. One thing you do catch is that Reynold does say to her at some point that he'll explain everything later. The walk from the rich district, sort of between the dwarven and merchant districts, to the sort of main docks area, there is a small warehouse. A sort of a swarthy looking kind of semi-thuggish, semi-guardish looking person's guarding a particular small little clearly it's a warehouse normally. It's got a large set of doors. Recognizes Malster. Looks a little kind of sheepish and looks down a little bit when he realizes there's like official priests and stuff here now. Malster says something to him and he kind of leaves and just goes off. He seems to be perfectly happy to be leaving. And inside it's a relatively small house, small warehouse. And laid out on this cold stone floor, there are two pale, but nevertheless neatly laid out, unsmelling, undecayed.
So they definitely look like they were gentle repose.
Dead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're pale, but they are undecayed, and there's no smell in the air. You see that there's a chest nearby, and after a sort of a short little bit of time, the contents of the chest are it's basically a bottle. It's very similar to the kind of bottle you would get, like maybe a large perfume bottle or a kind of like it's a glass bottle, and it's the sort of thing that you'd, if you think about a modern day half-liter vodka bottle kind of thing, kind of sort of flat, squarish kind of bottle, and there's very little liquid left in it. From your experience, Adrik, you would estimate, hang on, what day is it? Let me flick to the time scales. You would suggest that there's maybe, there's probably about 5 uses left of it. And that's
so
based on your
3
inside.
each.
Yes, days worth.
3 days worth each.
Yes.
Fair enough.
At that point, obviously, as you know, they would then continue to go but yes, they're pretty well preserved.
Good.
Mallister's quiet. He doesn't say anything. He just shows people. He seems kind of calm and resigned, and possibly even a little relieved. So yeah, you really don't need to do anything. You see you see Frenor. He examines, he does some rites. He sends back one of the acolytes. A little while later, there's a cart. It's a solemn cart. It looks like one of the ones you have seen the Raven use, Temple of the Raven, but they're fairly sort of standard designs. And he sort of takes possession, effectively, of the 2 bodies. Alistair just lets it happen.
Fair it is.
He lets it happen. You don't see any priests of the Raven, though. You just simply see it's not a hearse exactly, but it is a cart that's it's a neat, dark, solemn, respectful cart that can be covered up and I'm not dead!
I will turn to Malister and be like, I was told you have a crypt. Are we burying your children within the crypt?
He says, hopefully if Frenor still allows it after all this time, he would like that.
I'll turn to Frenor.
Frenor kind of nods and holds his hand up and reassures you that, yeah, you know, he's going to do the best that he can. He just has to be very delicate about the circumstances. It has to be reported. It has to be logged that this has happened, but he can delay that for a little bit while he does a proper ceremony at the crypt.
Okay, I will defend the crypt. Defend the crypt. I will defend the cart all the way up.
Yep, they go back to the balusters.
And I will stay there for the full burial.
It goes round the back. There's a set of gates. There's a lot of land behind the Malister's house. A lot of land. To say that this is technically in a town, I mean, obviously everything's fairly spaced out, but there is quite a bit of land around here. And it's kind of like a little graveyard, really, on the land itself. It's tucked away, small grove of trees. It's not like a crypt or a mausoleum in a sense, but it is a stone structure that doesn't go down very much, but there are, you know, inside there are very small chambers. You know, this is not a grandiose structure. It's certainly grand from the perspective of just a family crypt. But yes, there's clearly, you know, this is burial area. People have either been cremated or buried intact or whatever. Frenor gives a service, you know. He says his words over the dead. He does some rituals, and they are sealed away and entombed. There's a ritual that you're not particularly familiar with that he performs, but it is a magical one. So it's like he's casting something as a ritual. It's not a gentle repose. You almost imagine
I know the spell you're talking about, actually.
Well, go on then.
I think I don't know if I have it right now. Is it part of the ceremony spell, or is it? Hold on. I might not have it yet. You might need to be a higher.
Well, I mean, ceremony's only at first level, so I can't imagine it's
Yeah, it's.
But either way, yes, he does funeral rites. It is a ritual. It is a ceremony. It may even be slightly more than that. But yeah, it's the equivalent of the sort of funeral rites.
Funeral
ceremony spell, yeah. So yes, you do have that because it's a first level abjuration spell,
Yes.
which I'm certain you have.
Yeah, I do have ceremony. I don't have it prepped today, but I have all cleric spells.
yes, yeah, exactly. If you prep them, you get the impression though it's almost as if it's maybe it's even channeling a little bit more than you would expect from this sort of spell. He may have done this quite a few times. You also kind of get the feeling that there's almost an aura in this area of this. It's almost like this has been cast so many times in this area that it's almost embedded in the area now. To the point
like
of
it's consecrated ground.
No, like the stone itself remembers this spell, and kind of not enhances it, but just kind of enforces it a little easier. Perhaps it's one of those things where it's like almost like the stone remembers.
Cool.
And everything gets done properly, and they get entombed. And the dirt goes in.
Oh, thank goodness.
And everything's done. Mrs. Mouse is there, and she's kind of crying again. You get the impression she may have done this once before, with a fake ceremony. But yeah, now it's happening for real. And it's done, and they make their excuses and go back in the house. And yeah, it's all very quiet and kind of. It's like everyone's just following along with it. They're following the course that has been set out. Nobody's willing to interrupt it or rush it or slow it. It's just everyone's along for this very slow, solemn ride.
Yep.
And it's done.
At the end of it, I will pull over Frenor and have a quick conversation with him.
He's gonna delay you. He's going to hold his hand up, and they're going to leave the premises, and they're going to go back. And he says, probably best to leave such things for when we're back at the temple.
Okay.
And again, it's another solemn procession in a way. The acolytes take away the cart that had been brought. Don't know where it goes. Is it official thing? Is it something they store elsewhere? You're not sure. And
returns to the underworld.
Yes, it gets desummoned. He's got a ritual. Summon burial cart.
I want that ritual spell.
Unfortunately, the spell ends if you put anything other than cadavers and their clothing
it's part
inside
of the collection. Unseen Undertaker.
Unseen Undertaker. Fuck's sake.
Yes.
Oh, I want that one.
Oh
too.
man. Can you just make a homebrew
There's a whole
wizard who's made a
range of
bunch
these.
of these sorts of various unseen spells?
Unseen Architect, Unseen Undertaker. Fuck's sake. Unseen Underwear.
Unseen Gourmet
It's the very
Chef.
lazy wizard.
Unseen Gourmet Chef. Unseen Bodyguard.
Unseen curtains.
Yes. So anyway, you're back at the temple.
Unseen Messenger is a pretty good one.
Could be. Wouldn't that take the form of an animal that's kind of like made of light? You could ward off like evil.
Well, no, it would be an invisible.
Oh, okay.
It would be an invisible thing.
I'm thinking
Same
of
as the unseen servant.
Patronus. I am thinking of something different.
Yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, you get back to the temple. It's pretty damn late now. There's only a tiny bit of dark blue light in the sky near the mountains where the sun is. You are imagining it's officially set now, but a few lanterns have been lit. Mostly in the rich and merchant districts, less so in the latter. What do you want to talk to Frenor about? He looks pretty fucking tired.
Yep. I will say to him, I'm not from this town, so I don't know how its laws appeared over what we do as clerics, but I hope that Mr. Malister is not judged harshly. I do believe he was in the wrong for not requesting assistance from us in such a matter before attempting what he did, but he definitely took the right way of doing it. He was very understanding, even when I spoke to him, of my stance of I didn't like what he was doing, but he had gone the right way of doing it. Making sure that such issues comes from dead bodies, and that was seen to.
It may be that he has redeemed himself in time, perhaps, but it is not my responsibility to enforce the city laws. I did what was right for him and his family.
Indeed.
To ensure that his children have the correct ceremony to be entombed where they deserve to be with the family. But from now,
I agree.
I'm far too tired to inform Brightac or any official about what has transpired. That can wait till morning, and I'm sure that the Malisters would also appreciate that as well. Beyond that, I don't know what sort of punishment will befall him. I expect not too severe.
Indeed, and my thought would be, as of no harm has come to this, possibly Braytac does not need to be informed. But I will reserve to your judgment, of course.
An official does need to be informed. Normally the Temple of the Raven would deal with those who are unaligned with another temple, which is why I took my liberties to do so, as is my right. I will perhaps inform the official channels, and it may very well go straight through the mayor's office. But somebody certainly does need to be informed, but I think that they deserve at least a night before that happens.
Indeed. And if there is a requirement that Mr. Malister would need reference on such a matter, I have no problem speaking on his behalf.
You're a good man, Adrik. I will make sure that is included in my report. But if you'll excuse me, it has been a fairly long day with a very long evening, and I will definitely need my rests. I will, if there's anything else...
See you tomorrow morning.
Indeed. He's going to sort of help pat you on the shoulder and nod, and then he's going to make his way out and head wherever it is that he lives.
Yep. Now I'll head to bed.
Cool. So, I'm assuming everybody else is pretty much traveled back to Shadford.
Yep.
Okay. I would say for now, I'm going to call it a session. Unless there was anything that people desperately needed to do before they woke up the next day.
Nah, that's good.
What I will do
We're gonna
then
dance.
is go for a dance. I will then speak to you all between now and the next session, which is in 2 weeks, just to remind people. And we will talk about cult shenanigans. We will talk about armor shenanigans. We will talk about mischief shenanigans. And I'll talk about Niacin shenanigans if need be. If there are any events that occur, I will let you guys know. And then at the beginning of our next session, it may or may not be full armor been built by that time, or it might, who knows. And I will let Adrik then make the decision as to whether or not he's going to involve himself in whatever happens. Or it may be that nothing happens between now and full plate armor. But I would certainly ask Adrik to find the specific details. I won't talk about Adrik.
I will have another look, yes.
Yes.
What if the thing that happened is that Adrik's armor, as it is finally completed, comes to life and tries to murder him?
Well, then that would be the first option, where everything happens fine, and then we begin the next session once it's finished. Maybe finished with him, but finished nonetheless. Yeah,
I see. Yeah.
Oh no, it wraps itself around him, crushes him to death, and then it moves him around. Even though he's a corpse, it moves around and pretends to be him, tries to take over his life.
No, you're talking about the wizard sort of shuffling stupid enchantments around. It's plate armor of heat metal.
No!
Yeah, it literally...
Worst curse!
I do have a question, though.
Oh, go on, what's your question?
Do we level up?
Oh, I don't know. You leveled up in the jungle.
Do we level up?
I mean, you leveled up in the jungle. That was that far time ago. I think at the moment, no. I'm gonna say no. I know you're only level 5, guys, aren't you? You're level 5, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
What? You mean we're not level 6? You mean we're not level 6?
You leveled partway through the jungle, yes.
We leveled up partway through the jungle, so we did do the jungle boss after the level up.
Yeah, I know, the jungle boss, blah blah blah, yes.
We killed a snake, we killed some skulls, we killed some wyverns, we've solved some puzzles.
Yeah.
We also got
built
a statue
bridge.
back.
I'd say we've made achievements.
You've definitely made a lot of achievements. Maybe, after we've gone through some out of session stuff, I may then turn around to you individually and say, yes, by the beginning of the next session, you will have leveled up, maybe. But for now, not quite. But I may change my mind.
Okay. I see the way you're playing this.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we have to do our out-of-session stuff well, perhaps.
Perhaps. Or it might be that we find that it takes fucking, 7 months to finish this armor or something stupid like that. At which point, Adrik's going to scream and he's going to be like, payload guidance, every hammer swing on this armor, every hammer swing, guidance. Here, have some fucking armor! Here! It falls out of the sky. And
Maybe Paylor will just get really angry and actually just plate armor of guidance. Like that.
Here, the armor will give you guidance. It's sapient. It'll hate you more than I hate you. Now, fuck off!
That would actually be a really funny gimmick thing to
inverted.
do.
No, the armor, every time you get hit,
useless, but...
every time a hit comes your way, you have to spend a bonus action to guide the armor in how to block the shot. So it's inverted. The armor's getting guidance from the wearer.
That's the worst.
Otherwise, you have no AC. It provides no AC because it doesn't know how to do its job without your guidance.
It's sort of a blessing and a curse. If you don't use your bonus action to do that, the armor uses the guidance to guide the attack.
You have to distract it in order for it so it doesn't help the enemy. Oh, fuck's sake. Never take it off. And then whenever you try and take it off and not use it, Palor's like, I gave you that armor. That's
when
my
you pray
gift
to Palor
to
in
you.
the morning for the remove curse spell, Palor's like, nah.
No, unless you you just can't cast it on the armor. It's just that's the one target that fails.
It just fizzles out.
Makes the armor
like,
twice as thick. Reinforces it. Anyway, guys. So, apart from the level up that you're almost there, but maybe not quite. I kind of feel like Niacin shouldn't level up because it's like because I'm pretty sure, right? I'm pretty sure that he hasn't really played his character at level 5 yet.
He
briefly.
He wasn't there at the boss fight. He wasn't there when we moved the snake. He wasn't there when we've just done this session.
Yeah, he arrived.
He wasn't there when we went
the
to
Wizard's
the thing.
Tower.
He did the Wizard's Tower, but he wasn't there on the travel to the Wizard's Tower.
So he did the Wizard's Tower, but yeah. But anyway,
Yeah,
poor
he
Niacin.
only did the Wizard Tower, and that was it.
Poor Niacin. Okay, guys. Well, are there any other questions, comments, or concerns?
No. I think I'm
Nah,
good to go.
I think that's about it.
We'll get you something a bit more exciting
Actually,
to do as well.
I do have one question.
Oh shit, what?
Is there actually a person who is going to raise this fucking wyvern?
Who knows?
In your world?
Who knows?
You do!
Oh yeah. You're right. So thank you for clarifying that point. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
So what you're saying is that Melik exists in Melik's world.
Oh shit. No, none of my characters exist in this world. Well, obviously, no. Technically, every character in this world is one of my characters, but you know what I mean. None of the to this world existing characters of mine exist in this world.
Oh no, we're gonna find an ancient green dragon who's totally not going to be named Yagaloth.
Totally not. He'll be Arthur-Yog. Arthur-Log.
Hatagal. Sorry, Hatagaloi.
Yeah, that. So yeah, we will we'll come up with something that'll be
A very depressed one, surrounded by griffin cores.
No. Oh.
That's extra depressing.
So rude. So fucking rude. And then there'll be one dead kobold.
Womp womp.
So
he's just sitting there mourning Meepo's corpse.
I know.
That's all he's done this entire time. When we reach level 15, that's going to be like the timer for when he goes on his roaring rampage of revenge.
Ancient green dragon that's got, like, yeah, ridiculousness. Anyway, I'm going to call the session there then as far as the stream's concerned.
Cool.
So, thank you for all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, we don't have a session until 2 weeks' time for D&D. So you're just going to have to...
Hold on to your butts.
Yeah, the 30th. It's going to be the 30th.
Hold directly onto them, people. Don't let go.
Grip them, otherwise you'll lose them.
Wheeze.
I mean, you can't be hip if you have no bottom. Thank you,
Think
Izzy.
about it.
Thank you, Izzy.
Think
Thank
about
you.
it.
Goodbye, all.
Rah.